Hello.
Oh, hey, cool. People, persons.
Amazing.
Anyway, are we good to go?
I think we are.
I think we are. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes,
well,
we-
except I see that one of our racers disconnected from the bingo sync room, so we'll say, hey, bingo fans and Free Enterprise fans, I'm Invenerable. With me here to commentate this 2v2 Blackout bingo race is Smapty. We're back here again another year. You looking forward to it?
Oh, absolutely. Always happy to do this. This was a ton of fun last year. So pleased to be invited back to do it again this year. Free Enterprise is just a ton of fun. If you're not familiar with Free Enterprise, it's a nice little twist on a standard game of Final Fantasy IV, specifically Final Fantasy II. The version released in the US is what we use. But it turns what you might think of as a relatively linear JRPG into a fun little scavenger hunt. The most notable aspect of which opening up things right from the get-go by giving you access to the airship as soon as you start.
Yeah, so it takes that very linear game, turns it into a very fun open-world randomizer, and Bingo's a really fun way to play it. This version of Bingo is kind of developed by Homj, and these two teams, JJBlu and Xyrcord, which is Xyrak and keddril, really enjoy playing it. And we've got some pretty fun things on the board today.
Alright, guys, but before we go and start the run, do we have time for a donation?
Oh yeah, I think they are still readying up in the room, so shoot.
Alright, we got another $50 donation by a Hapkeinen Name. Man, I'm seeing that name quite a lot often in here. Merry Christmas, and may Fortuna watch over the souls of their runners and their RNG. 777 hype. Money goes to host choice. Oh boy. I have not decided on that. Well, I'm gonna decide on something, but in the meantime, why don't you continue?
Just getting a few things set up here, but on the board today, we have some tricky things that'll take a little bit of time and investment, and other things that are just kind of cute things that you don't see when you're racing the randomizer normally. Smapty? Oh, we are getting some serious echo there.
But yeah, there are definitely some tricky things on the board here. One of the things that really jumps out to me is that defeat Dark Knight with damage. Dark Knight Cecil, when he shows up as a boss, is one of those bosses usually considered free because of a storyline trigger, where all you have to do is survive 3 attacks of his, and the fight will end automatically. Now you have to do it like a normal boss, and depending on where you find him, if he shows up on, say, one of the later spots in the game that has a lot of HP, that can deal a lot of damage and very, very quickly, that can turn into a really, really nasty boss fight.
And all our racers are ready, and we'll be getting going very soon. Other fun little things on that list. I love to cast Lightning 1 on a Tricker and win the fight. The Tricker's this little imp in the lunar subterrane that casts Scan on itself and says, I'm weak to lightning. If you hit it with it, it unleashes really powerful lightning spells on your whole team. But there are ways around that, and having a Foo in your start will definitely help on this regard.
Yeah, as well as a Darkness Crystal as well. That's going to open up a lot of things right from the get-go. Darkness Crystal is not only going to give our players access to a new character up on that lunar dais on the moon, but also all of those moon bosses and locations are open as well. Probably not something they're going to immediately jump on with the difficulty of the bosses that are up there, but it certainly does open things up right from the get-go.
Yeah, and it has been pointed out, the flags do have these are basically the old 2v2 flags. You can have key items at the vanilla locations, behind the summon quests, in the lunar subterrane, and in any trap chests. But also, you're not guaranteed a way underground that doesn't go through the moon. So that Darkness Crystal's a little spicy. If our Magma Key and Hook are both on the moon, it'll be a little tricky. But having the Foo start definitely makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah, Fusoya, unlike the vanilla game, for balancing purposes, he levels up a little bit differently than you might remember. In the original game, he has access to every black magic and white magic spell in the game. Here, you have to power him up over time, so he's only going to start with 3 random spells, but every time you beat a boss, he's going to gain 100 HP until he's up to his normal maximum amount of HP, and unlock 3 more spells from his list. So he kind of incentivizes doing checks with a lot of bosses in it, getting a lot of bosses under your belt so that you can get some power on him. But once he's ready to go, he's definitely a fantastic addition to your party.
Absolutely. Gotta be careful going too fast with him, though. Another one of these tiles we have down here, after 10 minutes, have 0 gold. If you start clearing out bosses and powering up that foo, maybe a little tricky to drain your reserves down to 0. You can always try running from powerful and purposely getting into random encounters, which are toggleable, and just running away until you drop all your money, or hopefully find a shop that sells something cheap enough to be able to bottom it out that way.
Now, there was an interesting find over there on keddril's screen. Over in Troya, there are Soma drops for sale in the Troya item shop. What those do is they increase the maximum MP of a character by 10. Now, one of the requirements here is Tella has to cast Medio, which is, you might remember, a big storyline moment in the original Final Fantasy IV. But naturally, Tella does not have enough MP to actually cast it. So that Soma drop is going to be required, either finding one in a chest or buying one from that store, and able to get, in order to get Tella up to the level that he can actually cast that spell.
Absolutely. And also we have to find him. Sometimes people can like finding Tella early in a lot of Racing Seeds, but when you have a foo, he's kind of already... all that magic is already kind of covered. So, admittedly, it's a little awkward on this board to do that if you're already starting with a foo, but one player from each team's gonna have to do it.
Yeah, right you are. It's sort of like, Tella takes a look at Fu, asks who he is, and Fu just says, "I'm you, but better."
Microcorg's in chat asking, racers playing with the bingo card or just to beat Z? A little bit of both, actually. There is Blackout Bingo on the 2v2 going on here. Each team has to have at least one of their players complete every tile on this board, but donation incentives are met to also do a 26th and a 27th tile. Those have to be done by both racers, though. So you will see both racers on a team also kills aromas for tile 26, and get a dance at Cafe Howdy in the Dwarf Castle for tile 27. So we will be getting our butt kicking on tonight in the depths of the moon.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen the Dwarven show and Cafe Howdy before, then you're in for a treat.
Let's see, other fun things we have going on here. So that Foo Start, of course, so strong, so powerful. It'll make one-shotting a boss pretty easily. But you have to be careful. You may be a little too strong. We also have to defeat a boss with a character with 1 HP. And Edward has to get the killing blow at some point. So...
yeah, but one of the strengths of Fu with that huge spell list there is that he doesn't learn the weak spell, which is probably going to be a strong strategy for making sure you finish off a fight with a character at 1 HP. You can cast that on one of your party members. It sets their HP to a single digit. So that could be a way of just constantly casting weak on their party members till someone hits that 1 HP threshold, then finishing off an easy boss. I could see that being a way our runners approach completing that objective.
Or alternately, this was one that came to mind. You can, if you save a very easy spot, again, it's tricky, because with Fu, you really want to clear these easy spots and get those spells out of the way. But if you wait until you have access to the damage floors in Feymarch or in the Sylph Cave, you can just walk on those until some of your characters are 1 HP, come back up to one of these easy bosses, nuke the heck out of it, and take care of it that way. But if you already clear all your easy bosses powering up your Fu, you might get yourself in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. You can actually expand upon that strategy. If you run into a boss that only uses physical attacks, if our characters come across Paladin Cecil, you can just set up to cover whoever's at 1 HP, make sure that they're going to be essentially immune from damage for the entire fight, and finish it that way. So there's a lot of ways to sort of incorporate that damage tile strategy, which is something that is actually used a lot even in regular runs of this game. There are some places where you want to intentionally lose a fight, such as the cutscene with the Dark Elf in Cave Magnus, sort of routing things so that you do that check immediately after going through a damage tile area so that you can quickly off your party. Really, really strong strategy that can save you some time.
Yeah. And in addition then, with the flags, we are playing with T-Wild or T-Wildish? I do apologize. I believe...
it is T-Wild.
T-Wild. So any gear can be found in any loot spot in the game. They are doing no adamant armors, so you aren't going to get quite that level of potency. But we've already seen Stardust Rods and Zeus Gauntlets and White Shirts and Defense Swords. Powerful gear that you find towards the end of a vanilla playthrough that we're just scooping up and going to power this team up very strong, very fast.
And I believe we are going to see some... Yep, there we go. A Black Chocobo Pet there by JJBlu. Not a screen you see very often in Free Enterprise, but it is done. And that is our first objective on the board.
They're so cute.
They are.
And there's always that, that Que versus Wark conversation. But clearly the baby ones say, "Cool."
Well, clearly they're trying to say Que, but their vocal cords haven't developed yet.
You say that, but the end of it is clearly a hard K sound. So
you're sounding like one of those Wark supporters right now. I don't know about this.
Wark, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again.
Say it again now.
So other fun little things on this board. Collect all 3 hammers. Well, Sid Stark gets one of those out of the way. Another one is the Silver Hammer, which in vanilla can be bought in the town of Silvera. And then there's the Earth Hammer, which you normally find in, I believe, the Tower of Zot. With randomized gear, though, maybe they'll be able to find it in a shop. Maybe it'll be in an ordinary loot chest. Hopefully they don't have to scour the globe too harshly to find one.
Yeah, it's a really nice hammer for Sid in these Sid starts because it gives Sid access to a multi-target ability that he normally would be lacking. Not as crucial when you've got Fusoya as his partner, but still a really fun item to pick up. So for hunting hammers anyway, it's one you'd like to see early.
And FBL, asking the chat, didn't Keddril just one-shot Antlion? Keddril very well may have, but it is incumbent upon the racers to mark these tiles off themselves. So if he didn't click it, well, I can't go in there and do it for him. So this is one of the tricky things in playing bingo. You kind of have to worry, like, are my opponents sandbagging me? Have they completed half this board already and not marked it off? But I'm sure that's not the situation. I'm sure it's just a simple oversight, not realizing the full power at their disposal.
Yeah, there are a full 25 objectives on here, and that is a lot to have to manage. We recently implemented an objective system into Free Enterprise that's been sort of bingo inspired. That has been incredibly popular, and but those objectives usually we do like 5 at a time. So having to jump that all the way up to 25, even split between 2 people, is still a lot to keep track of.
Oh yeah, but with the gear we have, with the powerful party start we had, this is something that they'll be able to clear it out in time. Nearly all of these objectives don't seem too rough. I do just hope that they do find one of those Earth Hammers. That is probably the only thing that... Like, let's see what else we have here. Telecast Media, we've already seen Soma drops for sale. Hovercraft Underground, you're going to find a hook if you just check all your key item spots. 5 party members Berserked, well, who learns the Berserk spell? Not a problem there. Cave Magnus, Twin Harp will be found at some point if they just check their key item spots. You take the next risk, mate.
Well, we've already gotten that. Obviously, we've got access to the Black Chocobos right off the bat, so we've already seen that done by JJBlu. Defeating the Dark Knights just can be a matter of finding him. We've got the 10 stack of items, visit 10 naming ways, look through the telescope, all just sort of exploration and discovery things there. So really not contingent on character loadout, just a matter of when our runners feel it best to route it in. Speaking of which, that's a route in for looking through the telescope for Keddril. So now it is 1-1.
Yeah, and with regard to the Dark Knight with damage bit, it is true that in Free Enterprise, every boss is in the pool except 1 each seat. There's 1 random one that's left out just because the Water Hag fight in Kaipo, where you would normally, you wake up Rosa with the Sand Ruby and Vanilla, and then you have that fight, left out because when it's not a scripted fight like that, that spot has 46,000 HP or something. Nobody has time for that. However, I did vet the seed. I can confirm we will be finding a Dark Knight somewhere to defeat with damage. On that note, defeat a group of Pink Puffs. That's a fun little thing from Vanilla that a lot of people may not have ever found in their young playthroughs. Legendary Flan Princesses. They are a 1 in 64 encounter in a room in the lunar subterranean with a 1 in 64 chance, or maybe even worse with how drop tables work in this game, of, hey! Keddril found the Gaia Hammer. I think Xyrcord probably did as well, since it seems to be full clearing outline. But yeah, you don't have to grind out the 1 in 64 chance of finding it. You just have to find a Siren, which hopefully they'll be for sale on this flag set. If so, you just go to the room, you pop it, and boom, You got the pink puffs to challenge and dance with.
Yeah, those pink puffs are important because while it's a lot easier to get in certain flag sets where it's not turned off, the pink tail is what you would get normally from those pink puffs, if I recall correctly. So that was how you got the adamant armor in the vanilla game.
Absolutely. In the free Enterprise, it's changed. They actually just normally drop adamant armor directly now, just because the key item system can get finicky if you get multiple key item pink tails. But the racers are playing with a no adamants flag, so I don't know what they'll drop. Maybe we'll see some new information if any of them get lucky fighting them.
Yeah, a lot of respect going out to Boardface, the programmer for Free Enterprise. Has done just an absolutely marvelous job of patching all of this together to work within the confines of the sort of scavenger hunt system that we wanted to play for it. He's done some marvelous things with this, so really want to give him the respect he deserves here for the work he's put in.
Oh, absolutely. So, visit 4 throne rooms. We've already seen the Fabul one. We're seeing it right now on the Xyrak screen. Pretty much anywhere there's that lovely crimson, maroon, whatever color it is, carpet counts. So, probably we'll find 4 of those pretty handily over the game. Having a character with more than 4,000 HP, well, Sid will get there if you keep him around. Other characters hit that spot pretty handily as well. One-shot a boss, well, we got Bahamut's going on. We got Foos with all kinds of spells. Bada bing, bada boom. And then one of my favorite little ones here. Walk to the crystal room and walk out of Sealed Cave. No warp. Nope, no shortcuts. You are walking every single tile down and every single tile back up in one of the most annoying dungeons in the game.
Yes, thankfully, with the encounters being off by default in Free Enterprise, they don't have to worry about the trapdoors. There are every door in that dungeon, so it makes it slightly less annoying, but it is still a very, very long walk, and one that our runners are definitely going to have to consider strongly about how they route in when they route it, since that is a big-time commitment when they go to that.
You want to go over row 4 for us?
Sure, yeah. We've got spend 1 million gold and 1 stack of items. That's basically just going to be a matter of getting that 1 million gold. Usually, a trip to the moon is what it's going to take to get that kind of cash. A lot of the lunar bosses drop a lot of gold, so we'll probably see that being one of the later objectives completed. Edward lands a killing blow on the boss. Well, we got to find Edward first, and we got to find a way to get him to do that much damage. Now, fortunately, I believe the spoon flag is on here, correct?
It is, yes.
Excellent. So yes, the spoon, which is normally just a throwable item for Edge that you can see keddril has found over the bottom right there, was actually put in. There's an extra flag we put in that lets Edward use it, since he is indeed the spoony bard. He can equip it as a weapon. It has 255 attack power and turns him into the very definition of a glass cannon. Sort of a fun way to use him, since he is kind of considered one of the weaker characters in the game. Giving that spoon flips the script, and that can be a really good way to ensure that Edward is going to do the damage on a boss to kill it. And that way you don't necessarily have to leave a very weak boss here to make sure you feed it to Edward. So that's good news that spoon is in play there. Equip the same ring on all 5 party members. Probably an iron ring is going to be the way to do this. A lot of characters start with that as initial equipment. It can be purchased very cheaply in stores. So I don't see that one being too much of an obstacle for our runners. Kill Octomammoth with only 1 tentacle showing is going to be something of a slog, just because the way Octomammoth works is every attack that it receives, I believe it's every 2 attacks that it receives, it removes 1 tentacle, essentially, and it lowers its speed significantly. The idea being it's very fast at first. As you fight it, it gets slower and slower and slower as the tentacles go away. But that means you're going to have to sit in that fight and attack it with weak attacks over and over until you've got it down to that 1 tentacle, so that you don't accidentally kill it before that happens. So depending on where Octomammoth shows up, that might be a little bit tricky, though. You have Fusoya here who can just throw very, very low-level spells at it, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem, just going to take a good bit of time. And then finishing a boss, the character at 1 HP, we've already talked about that. There's a number of ways that our runners might be able to set that up, either with damage tiles or the weak spell. So it shouldn't be too much of a trouble, just going to be a deliberate attempt to set that up beforehand.
Yeah. Final row, after 10 minutes, have 0 gold. Well, we already went over a few ways to make that magic happen. Visit 6 crystal rooms. A little awkward. I'm pretty sure that means that even if we find a magma key, someone will have to go through the hook route to hit that crystal chamber. Have a level 70 character? Well, if sirens are available, good. If not, we do have a source of weak in the form of Fu, and can always do a D-Machine grind to get massive influx of XP. Lightning 1 on a trigger. Talked about that a little bit already. Rude little fight from vanilla that is not all that tricky. In addition to being able to cast Lightning 1 on it, you can also cast Mute on it, you can stop it, you can turn it into a frog before you zap it. All these things will completely negate its nasty script that enables. And Wipe to 5 different bosses is also just a lovely little troll. You don't just get to blast through everything with your Fu. One teammate on each team is going to have to just sit there and get dunked on 5 different times.
Yeah, I'm already trying to think about what the most efficient way to get to wipe the bosses. Not being the greatest runner of this game, I'm very adept at wiping the bosses, so now I'm trying to think of what the most efficient way to do that is. I would think the 2 in the Fey March would be a no-brainer, just because they usually hit very hard. You can probably get through that fight, and you're probably already damaged going through. Maybe Ordeals would be another good place to get another 2 in, and then you can just maybe wipe just one random boss here or there. Did you have any thoughts on that?
Well, if Wyvern's in play, looking back at the flags our racers are playing with, the Mega Nuke is enabled. So that, depending on where Wyvern is, can be a very nice fight to just walk into, get nuked, and bada bing, there's another one down.
Yeah, that might be just one that all of our runners collect inadvertently, just the first time they run into Wyvern, because that is always a nice surprise when the Lunar Sparkle shows up, Wyvern comes, Mega Nukes you, and well, when's the last time I saved?
Yeah. To look over some of the key items we found, we did start with the Darkness Crystal. That opens up the moon. We hope that there's a way underground that doesn't involve going there. We got the Spoon, which normally is a throwing item for Edge, but Edward can equip it for spectacular damage. Found a Sand Ruby, that'll get us another character in Kaipo if we need that particular character. We do have to find Tella and Edward to complete this board. Let's see, we have a Rat Tail, which if you find the hook, you can turn in to get another key item reward at the Mini Miner. And then we have a Tower Key, which lets you fully clear lower Babel when you're there, instead of trying to do it 2 trips, one for the Dr. Luge vanilla spot, and one for the Battle Cannon room. So, quite a variety of key items found so far, not too many gating things, and importantly, no underground access. But we do see Xyrak working on some of these trap chests in Eblin Cave. There are 3 here, there's 1 up in Zot, and these are also key item options if all of the storyline spots have not given us anything.
Yeah, I remember running 2v2s, it was always sort of a big discussion over who was going to be able to make the Evelyn Castle check. Evelyn Castle is very, very fun to check, especially when you're in a T-Wild situation, just because there are an enormous amount of chests in there. You got 3 chap chests, which always have high-tier loot in them. They could also have the key items. So usually you walk out of an Evelyn Castle check in these 2v2 flags a much, much richer person than you did going in.
Oh yeah. However, back when we first started 2v2, you could buy much better gear, much better J items that we didn't have in the American version that made your life so easy. If you could find a stack of Hourglass 1s in a shop, which were cheap, readily available, you could just freeze any trap chest fight except for a few on the moon and just destroy them, no questions asked. Little overpowered, got kicked up a notch or 2 on the loot list. You're not going to be buying those anymore. But if we find any, that's great. But in the meantime, we also have a Fusoya. He also kind of decreases the danger inherent in clearing these locations.
Oh yeah, most certainly. It's sort of one of those things. When do you feel powerful enough to go into Eblin Castle, because it's going to be such an important check. Speaking of Eblin, though, we've got Keddril turning in that Sand Ruby. That's Edge. Not necessary for any of our objectives directly, but if you're going to be putting a party together to take on Zeromus, you could really not ask for many better party members than Edge.
Oh yeah, and with T Wild on, there's a good chance that just by looting, either Keddril or his teammate Xyrak will find some good katanas. Shout those out like, "Hey, I found a Masamune, I found a Murasame. You should go here and pick it up." And then all of a sudden, that Edge is a physical powerhouse.
Most certainly, and we've seen a good number of high-level swords as well that Edge might not be able to equip. But I know we found an Excalibur and the Troya vaults up there. Edge can throw those for high burst damage, really good for taking care of a tricky boss or holding on to for Xyromus in order to take him down even faster.
Xyrak here, finding the Stillman and Skulls fight. Had used coffins to great effect on some earlier fights. Not going to do a whole lot of good in this one. Just, of course, the Skulls are undead. The Stillman, I believe, counts as a golem and also has insta-death immunity. But Rydia says, I've got a Dragon Lord, I don't care.
Yeah, Bahamut answers a lot of problems, doesn't it?
Yeah, a few of these questions already answered.
Now, Xyrcord seems to have drawn the short straw and has to check the Flame Dog chest in Zot. Very out-of-the-way check, but it is a trap chest. It can have a key item. And we'll get to see what it's going to be very shortly here.
Yeah, and in the meantime, by peeking through that telescope, the teams evened up again, equalized 4-4. Oh,
that's
and there's
the Magma Key.
Magma Key. Yeah. So
go right ahead. I'm sorry. We're probably going to say the same thing, but go right ahead.
Oh, yeah, bailed out completely. Magma Key there means that they don't have to do what?
They don't have to go down the hook route. Or go to the moon.
Yeah, that's the part. Hook route with a Foo and a Bahamut and an Edge, I'm not that worried. Having to go through the moon, even with the Foo, if you don't get quite the spells you want from the bosses on Earth, it can be pretty nasty. And with Adamant Armors not being available, yeah, you're definitely glad to see that Magma Key. We'll probably see Xyrcord's teammate JJBlu making a run up there pretty soon as well. And Xyrak is likewise en route.
Yeah, for those maybe a little bit unfamiliar with how this game is set up, there's essentially 3 different worlds in Final Fantasy IV: the overworld, the underworld, and the moon. And they basically have bosses of increasing strength in that order. The overworld being your beginner, your early area. You want to kind of advance into the underground from there because you're going to have your mid-tier bosses there. And then the most terrifying bosses are going to be up on the moon. This is sort of the end game area. So there are safety checks that can be put on to make sure that you go through the worlds in the intended order. But those can also be turned off. So there can be situations where you do have to go through the moon to get underground, and that can require some really tricky strategies employed and some real high game knowledge in order to survive that kind of situation.
Xyrak, meanwhile, has found that flame doggy. It won't survive too long here.
Yes, that's going to give... I was just going to say that was going to give Team Second Place equal access to everywhere that Team WoW Toad has, so they'll even things up in that area.
Oh, and I do apologize. I was over here misinterpreting the teams. I was looking left and right rather than top and bottom, I believe. So apologies for that, chat. It is JJ and Xyrak on a team, keddril and Xyrcord on a team. I'm so acclimated to team-based play being, left versus right that I have that completely mistaken. My apologies.
Hey, it's all good.
But yeah, JJ also showing the power of that Bahamut summon. Ruby opens his cape like, I know glare, and Rydia's like, Fred Y is like, excuse me? Was it glare? Was it flame? I will show you how.
Yeah, Rydia is a character that can be a huge liability or a fantastic asset, and it's based entirely upon what kind of items you can find. She shines a lot more in a wild setting like this, where you're more likely to stumble upon her high-level summons, which have to be learned through items in Free Enterprise. So yeah, getting a Bahamut like that means that Rydia is going to be a huge powerhouse. She does kind of falter in the endgame. She has a hard time hitting the right benchmarks for HP to survive Big Bangs against Xyromus. And she has one of the nastier leveling curves in the game, in that it takes way more XP to get those higher levels on her than it does other characters. But through the early and mid game, a high level summon like Leviathan or Bahamut can just steamroll through a lot of fights.
And Xyrcord has revealed that sirens are for sale in the Dwarf Castle. Doesn't pick up any yet, though. Just get some silk webs, lovely double application of slow on some nasty boss fights. Those sirens are fantastic if we need to grind at any point. Between Foo and Rydia right now, may not look like it, but they will be essential to finding that group of pink puffs.
Real heads-up play there by keddril in the bottom right. I really like to see that kind of utility being used. So Mad Ogres have a very notoriously high magic defense, but if you can pierce it enough to get a status effect to land on them, in this case Mini, you basically neutralize them, so you don't need to have access to those hourglasses that we were talking about to stop them. That also makes this fight way more manageable. You can just kind of plink them with your physical damage as much as possible. So real good play there by keddril.
Oh yeah, it nerfs their damage into pretty much nothing, and you will do, I believe, quadruple damage to them once they're tiny with melee attacks, so always good to see. And Xyrcord, by the way, finding a pass in the Job Dwarf shed. We probably are going to have to do some lunar stuff anyway, just to clear everything on this board, but at the end, when it's time to go fight Zeromus, that's going to save a bit of a hike. Very lovely item to find, and Xyrak finds it for Team WoW Toad. So everyone's going to be picking up that pass today.
Oh, here we go. Xyrcord is giving us a look into Cafe Howdy here.
Sadly, though, we do not have the audio on Xyrcord's stream, just because of splitting difficulties. We do promise that you will get the Cafe Howdy dance at least once this evening, friends, so don't you worry.
This is what too much Bacchus wine will do to a dwarf.
Hey, at least this one's drinking in the cafe instead of at the swill pot in the basement. A little more looting going on. Dwarf Castle has some little awkward paths that you can take, but overall it's a pretty dense supply of loot. And that's a crystal sword. Where is Cecil? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That is one thing Xyrcord is probably on voice chat right now, telling keddril, hey, Dwarf Castle, right tower, get yourself a crystal sword, find yourself a paladin. The crystal sword is an amazing, amazing weapon. The best weapon in the game by far, 250 attack power and massive boosts to all of Cecil's stats when he has it equipped. He's going to turn that paladin into an absolute powerhouse.
Yeah, we talk about how the spoon is kind of fun. The spoon technically has the highest attack power of any weapon in the game, but you're putting it on Edward. The crystal sword has 55 less attack power. It's 200 attack power. But Oh no, you're golden. But you get plus 15 strength, which is 3 to 4 more attack multipliers just from the strength boost. And Cecil's going to survive the things that are being flung at him in a way that Eddie won't necessarily. So yeah, you give me the choice between the spoon and the crystal sword. I'm taking the crystal sword.
Absolutely. Plus, it has the benefit of that holy element on it as well, which a number of enemies are actually weak to. There are one or two, actually I think it might just be one enemy that in the D-Mist that is actually resistant to holy, but against a bunch of other bosses, Cecil's going to do even higher damage than you would be expecting because of that weakness. So it's another huge bonus that sword has.
Yeah, absolutely. D-Mist, you're right, and Octomammoth also has a holy resistance.
Yeah, I believe that's sort of a function of the fact that they had to make it weak to Dark Knight Cecil, something like that. I don't know the details, but yeah.
To try to make him less obviously bad early on.
Right.
It's kind of funny, though, because, you don't always realize this swinging the weapons around, but I can remember distinctly the times that I have cast either Holy or Meteo, which is Holy Elemental, on Mist Dragon or Octomammoth, and immediately facepalmed so hard when I healed it for nearly all its health.
Right, it's just one of those small little esoteric details that almost never comes into play, especially since in the vanilla game you didn't even have access to that kind of damage when you fought them, and then whoops, yeah, I forgot about that. Another one of those that we often run into is we were talking about Rydia and her summons, and can actually be something of a liability against a lot of the endgame bosses, since those are hard-coded to respond to any kind of summon spell with some nasty counterattacks, which is something you can often forget until you use Bahamut on Wyvern and find yourself facing another Mega Nuke.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's kind of surprising because she doesn't get nuke until very high levels, so if you do your storyline stuff, you're really relying on her Bahamut summon, her Leviathan summon to dish out damage, and just about everything but Plague has a counterattack waiting for it. So 31 minutes in, only have 5 out of 25 if you count our lolly-ho dance down in Cafe Howdy. But a lot of these things are just, some of these are going to be kind of organic, some of them are going to kind of come together simultaneously. Another thing about those pink puffs is that their initial attack when you start the fight is to berserk your entire team. So whoever defeats a group of pink puffs will automatically take care of that one at the top as well, as long as you don't have a Crystal Armor Cecil. Crystal Armor has an annoying drawback, right, Smape?
Oh, yes, it does. You cannot be berserked if you have the Crystal Armor on, which I guess the developers thought was a benefit, but since we know the true power of Berserk, it's actually a huge liability. Berserk is the status you want your melee fighters to be in, just because not only the damage increase from the status itself, but the fact that the AI is automatically inputting the commands faster than you ever could, queuing them up faster than you possibly can, you end up getting a lot more damage than you would just using the attack command of the non-Berserk character. There is a way to Berserk with the Crystal Armor, and that's the Avenger Sword, since that automatically puts its wielder into the Berserk state. But other than that, yeah, you'll have to take Crystal Armor off if you want to use it and Berserk at the same time.
Xyrak for Team Wildtoad has killed Octomammoth with only one tentacle showing. Had to take a little bit of time there to wheedle it down, and then big bada boom, Mega Nuke comes out. And now a tricky decision to take Cecil or not. Xyrak hasn't done Ordeals yet, and I'm not sure if... We have seen Excaliburs, we have seen a Crystal Sword. Don't know if Team Wildtoad has seen them. We'll know soon. But we may see Xyrak head up Ordeals, convert this Paladin. If you're going to get a level 70 character with 4,000 HP who dishes out a ton of damage to everything in your way, Cecil's a pretty good one to roll with.
Yeah, in the wild setting, when you have such easy access to all these high-level holy swords for Cecil, it's very, very difficult to not justify a heavy investment in him. Even if you have to go out of your way and do things like Ordeals, but Ordeals really isn't that big of a time loss when you consider you're also getting boss kills for Fusoya at the same time. In some of the more strict flag sets where you're not going to get easy access to those kind of weapons, maybe a tougher choice whether to take Cecil in a situation like this, but yeah, I think Xyrak absolutely making the right decision. Cecil is going to be a absolute monster this seed.
Absolutely. And Xyrcord for Team Second Place, down here working on Octomammoth as well. This is kind of a fun place for Octomammoth as well, to have to wheedle it down to the one tentacle. Calbrainaspot has rather high physical attack for its point in the game. Saw it do about 600 damage to his Sid, or his Fred, as it were here. But the nice thing is that even though it hits hard, every one of these tentacles that gets chopped off slows it down, and pretty much in the clear at this point, so not too bad.
Yeah, the real nice thing about this is that he's got, half of his party are mages. Sid, not necessarily a high damage character when you get to the mid game here in the underground, and Kane, I think, is got a low level weapon equipped, so he's able to plink at it very, very easily without having to bother menuing in like low damage spells with Gridea, and Fusoya can just easily just auto attack his way through, hold A and pray essentially, get through the fight very easily, and then finish it off when they're down to one tentacle. One or two more attacks should do it looks like.
And there's the one tentacle, and now just to figure out your favorite way to destroy the squid.
Looks like we're
and I think for
boiling
everyone,
today.
That's Bahamut. Xyrak, it appears, making our first peek into the land of summoned monsters, the Fey March. There is both a trap chest down here that could have a key item. There is the vanilla rat tail chest, which can. And then there are two bosses down here at the vanilla Asura and Leviathan spots. Shockingly nasty in Free Enterprise, depending on who shows up here. Because in vanilla, all they use are magical attacks. Asura will counter with physicals, but doesn't outright punch you unless you do something first. Here, if you run into a physical boss at either of these spots, Pain Train is coming. Pain Train is coming.
Choo choo. Now, on the other hand, like you were mentioning earlier with those damage tiles, if Xyrak does run into one of the more free bosses here, I don't believe we've seen Water Hag, which is basically just got a storyline trigger to end it by attacking it 3 times. This could be a good way to get it in. Well, nope, Xyrak's using the cabin, so that strategy's out of there. So never mind, everything I just said.
Hey, it's all good. It's, one of the strategies. Xyrak may not want to fight either of these anyway. Even with the Fu, we don't have a large spell suite unlocked, and we don't have a lot of levels on the rest of the team yet. Like, Xyrcord did grind quite a bit on those Sirens. Xyrak's not done that yet. It's kind of taking things as they come.
Oh, I don't like either of those bosses there. Ooh.
Baigen at Asura is a thing of beauty. That is one of the 2 fastest spots in the game, and Baigen isn't just one person. He is a person with 2 snake arms, and all of them will hit you very, very hard there. So that's going to be a very spicy fight, if our racers even have to do it. We have so many available key item prospective locations that neither of these may even be required.
Yeah, very interesting how what is essentially a mid-boss in the original game in Baigen becomes one of the scarier bosses in Free Enterprise just by virtue of it inheriting the stats of whatever boss spot it's in. Giving Baigen some nasty stats and some nasty speed makes him very, very frightening.
And Xyrak appears to be saving. Wants to know who this lunar sparkle on the left is, I think. Well, actually, turning battle speed down. Are we going to see an attempt? No, okay. Definitely picking the boss. Turning the battle speed down in case it's Wyvern to hopefully get some Star Veils up. And it's these lunars.
They're going to hit very hard, but there are some strategies that could sneak out a win here. Lunar Frogs being a fan favorite, being able to put up the Reflect spell before the D-Lunars get to their breath attack as part of their rotation. You can reflect their breath and turn them into frogs, which basically makes the rest of the fight free. Of course, surviving until you get to that part of their AI is very, very difficult, as you can see the damage they're putting out here.
Oh yeah, they're going to each punch once, and Leviathan Spot has, I believe, 3rd or 4th highest physical attack in the game. They will then each do a fire attack for 20% of a character's max HP, so roughly 40% gone when they each do this. And then each one will do 3 more hits for a total of 6. Keep those Cure 4s coming, and get those Star Veils up, and maybe you'll get the easy way out.
Yeah, really admire Xyrak for trying this out here. Really putting the effort in. This could pay off big if there's something really, really nice behind this spot.
And if not, we do have Sirens as a grind, but if you can kill bosses and kill trap chests and get your grind on while you're moving along, sometimes that's advantageous. You're powering up your Fu at the same time, so there's a lot of combinations being done here. Now, one thing I am worried about, though, is if Xyrak may have put these Star Veils up too soon. If you still have punches coming and you intend to try to heal someone up, you can't really cure them if they have wall up.
Yeah, that being said, that Fu is taking very, very little damage from the punches, so good chance that he's going to at least survive long enough. Then you got to wonder if the Star Veil's going to last that long. There's the breath. Gets to reflect. We got 2 frogs. Excellent. Xyrak should be able to clean this up no problem now.
Excellent. It gets a little tricky if both of the reflects only land on one of the frogs. Then you have to you want to hit the one that is a frog. If you hit the one that's not a frog, the wall still goes up and you're eating virus counters. But if you land on both of them, it makes your life super easy. No problems here. And fun fact, do you know why Fu was taking so little damage compared to everyone else?
Well, I know he was in the back row, which gives a huge defensive multiplier, but I don't know what else he had on equipment-wise.
Yeah, I believe he's still wearing that default wizard hat, which, unlike the wizard robe, gives zombie resistance. So it's a great way to get your defense multipliers bumped up against either the Dean Lunars fight or the Mylon Z fight. Because Sid was still getting one-shotted, and he's wearing heavy armor. Fu, shrugging it off to like 60s and 70s of damage. Don't underestimate the power of a wizard hat.
Yeah, no kidding. We often talk about the offensive properties of items and what they deal effective damage against what types of monsters. But yeah, those defensive properties as well can really separate the elite runners just with that kind of game knowledge. Like you said, the way defensive multipliers stack in this game hugely benefits the player. You can you imagine that being in the back row would be like half damage, but just the way defense multipliers work, you can end up taking a mere fraction of the damage that someone in the front row works. And then if you stick on defensive multipliers from items on top of that, you can get some very, very tanky characters.
And we see Xyrcord here having ascended ordeals, no surprise, found both a Cecil and a Crystal Sword in Dwarf Castle. I would not be taking my time either. And Xyrak finding a very important item, the Legend Sword. So we have to kill Zeromus this seed. To get to that, you have to get the crystal, and this is a forge percent seed. So we have to get the Legend Sword, we have to get the adamant, we have to turn those both in to get the crystal, and that is our 26th, 27th, whichever you want to count it as, bingo tile. So very, very nice outcome from dealing with those D-liners.
Yeah, can't overestimate how big this... Go right ahead.
Alright, I got a $50 donation by Anonymous here saying, imagine if it was reversed and Mateo could cast Tella. Picture all those Tellas flying across the screen and smashing into Galvus. That would be neat. Hashtag FF4FE version 5. Thank you very much for that donation. Very much appreciated.
Thank you so much. You can almost simulate that with the current version, actually. The April Fool's flag this year added a push B to jump option that, in addition to letting you jump over single tiles on the overworld and in dungeons and such, every character gets the jump command if you push B. So you can actually make it rain Tellas, maybe not to the degree of Meteos falling, but get yourself a team of 5 Tellas, jump, 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 jump. Boom, it's raining sages. Hallelujah.
I smell a community race flag set.
Oh, no.
Tella only, push B to jump.
We're trying to be accessible.
Oh, right. We want people to have fun. That's what I forgot.
Yeah, go see if you can make that a seat of the week, though. Now that... There we go. Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, when I was mentioning earlier, this is a huge lead for Team WoW Toad now. That is a really nasty spot to find D-Lunars, something that other runners might, see, nope out of, and hold on for later. But now they've got that knowledge that they've got one half of the crystal, essentially, that, depending on how Xyrcord and keddril approach, might not be checking that anytime soon. So I would say that that's a significant lead for them right now.
Oh yeah, it's very important information, but we got to take the long view. We are going to see at least one player on each team with a character over 4,000 HP, a level 70 character. These are things that will get you strong enough to get through that fight through sheer power overwhelming if the need arises. It may not be something we do soon, but it's something that we can see happening in the long run.
Yeah, very, very good point. And I love Xyrak here, just finishing off the Fey March here, gets Baigen done as well. And let's see what the reward is.
If it's the adamant, I'm laughing. Okay.
Just a different legendary sword.
Yeah, not quite. We've already seen X-Cows, we've already seen Crystal Swords. Not that exciting, but it is a boss out of the way for Xyrak that he can now tell his teammate, hey, Blue, stay away from that Baigen. You got no business there.
And I'm sure that's going to be information Blue is going to be relieved to hear that he does not have to fight Baigen at Asura spot.
Meanwhile, keddril over here finding a very spicy outcome, a free boss fight in Cave Bahamut, King Eblin and Queen Eblin. They'll throw a few fire spells, burn themselves out, realize their monstrosity, and it's very Kafka-esque, and they are gone.
And he brought Edge along to witness it. How tragic.
Raining X-Scouts.
It is raining holy swords here today. It's a good seed to have it since we have such easy access to Edge. That is a lot of really great throwing ammunition.
Xyrak, meanwhile, getting his groove on in Cafe Howdy. Another one with the lovely dancing dwarf.
And I believe we should have the music for this one too.
Hopefully. Kane just looking around like, why am I still here? What, I shouldn't be here. Limbo. This is also a real spicy play by keddril, going ahead and pushing the moon at this point with this team. I mean, we know that grinds are available in the form of sirens if need be, but if you're going to be the one clearing all these lunar boss spots and lunar trap chests for your team, you're getting your levels anyway.
Yeah, most certainly. There is just an incredible amount of experience in all of the trap chests here on the moon, combined with some really nice spots here in the boss spots, especially the D-lunar spot being a very notoriously high experience yield spot. So yeah, usually if you are the partner in a 2v2 that is making the moon check, you're not having to think too much about a long-term grind, though we do have that in that one space of getting a character to level 70, and even if you full to clear the moon, you're not going to quite get there usually.
Oh yeah, that's one that'll require a little extra effort, but sirens are available. We can eventually, if we want to, just grind yellow dragon eggs like Xyrcord is doing. We can do gold dragons on the moon, warlock fights on the moon. We don't have the tile to clear giant. You can always go clear the 2 bosses there for extreme XP.
Very, very good point. Now, what, based on sort of your knowledge about experience and grind, since I know you are much more knowledgeable on the actual numbers than I am, what would you think about the prospect of taking a low-level character and slingshotting them specifically for that objective? Do you think it would be worth the time investment or not?
Yeah, I think it'd probably be pretty good. You'd want to get a character with a pretty good XP curve. Like, Aridia already has so much XP, you're not slingshotting her anyway. You want to get someone with a good XP curve. You want to get that 10 key item count first. And then you go do that, you'll get quadruple XP on the character. You get double for the 10 key items, plus double for the... Ooh, the Odin fight. Sorry, it's spicy. Double for the 10 key items. You'll get double for the for being 5 levels behind the rest of the team. And if you get enough XP in that one fight, boom, you got it. But I have to think that since we started with a Foo, like if keddril full clears the moon for team second place, gonna be real close to level 70 just from all the XP available, because there are 9 trap chests, I believe, in the lunar subterranean. I'm give or take 2.
I think you're right. I want to say it's 9 as well.
Yeah, and so that's a lot of XP to accrue. I think I wouldn't worry about setting up a slingshot. I think I would just play my game, try to complete the rest of the board, and then, bring it over the finish line at that point if I'm close.
Oh, some smart play here from keddril, swapping out one of the swords on edge for that Thunderclaw to hit the Thunder weakness on Odin here, hopefully do a little bit more damage. I'm not sure if that is going to be enough to get through this, but very good way to take advantage of those elemental weaknesses. As long as any one of Edge's weapons is hitting the weakness, the entirety of his attack is considered hitting that weakness, so he gets a lot of benefit from that.
Yeah, but the problem is the other weapon, if I saw correctly, is still just a short blade, a kunai.
It is.
Yeah, so not getting big multipliers, and if you're throwing Excaliburs anyway, well, you're not really getting the benefit there either. I do like seeing the Silk Web throw at the start. Things are looking a little better this run through, but that is still a lot of damage coming out.
Yeah, and this Intensican itself is hitting for a little over 1,000 apiece. So there's only, right now it looks like only Fu and Sid will even survive it at this point.
We see JJBlu following Xyrak's lead, taking care of D's Lunars, turning them into D's Froggies, and yeah, they are falling quickly to those Reflect strats. Gonna have his Legend Sword soon as well.
A lot of damage coming out from keddril here. I don't know if he's got enough to win the race. It's going to be close.
Yeah, I believe it's about 35,000 HP here, and that does it. Nicely done, keddril. Way to adjust your strategy, come back stronger, and take the fight down. But is the reward going to be interesting, or womp womp?
I don't think it's the first life staff we've seen, so I don't think it's terribly exciting.
Yeah, I think we already have some of those, but not going to reset out. You did get XP for it. You did get another level of Fusoya unlocks. So, it's not what you were looking for, but you're not going to complain either.
Yeah, and I mean, it's more done. It's more knowledge you can pass on to your teammate. Even if it wasn't directly beneficial, it's definitely good to have it done. So it's not hanging on your shoulders the rest of your run.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but one of those fights where I was thinking maybe might need to set up something like trying to get the lightning rod kill on Odin and trying to finagle something, but nope, the answer was just overwhelming force.
Yeah, that is definitely a good strat at places like that, where the Zantetsuken doesn't do enough to insta-kill your entire team. If you can get some good blinks set up on the team to negate the normal hits, if you can cure 4 to heal after each of the Zantetsuken ones, which ignore blink, you can end up zapping him at the 3rd sword raise and insta-killing the jerk, which is always a fun thing to pull off.
Yeah, it can. The timing on it can be very, very tricky because there's just a very brief window where that weakness is actually open. So definitely something you'll want to practice beforehand before you try to employ in a live race. But absolutely a strategy to keep in your pocket for situations like that.
I will note that Xyrcord has picked himself up an Earth Crystal in one of the trap chests in Lower Babel. We came up here to check that tower key and knock out other things. So that Earth Crystal will open up another 2 characters, which we've not seen Tella or Edward yet, both required.
Yeah, tremendous amount of potential value in that Earth Crystal. Not just the 2 characters, but another key item, more bosses to fight. I don't think we're no, we are still looking for Dark Knight Cecil, so he could be in there. So yeah, that Earth Crystal is a very, very juicy find.
Finding a blue robe up here. Are we going to have a gauntlet or a water hag? Have we seen either one yet?
I was just thinking about that, and I don't think we have seen either, so this is a coin flip.
Oh, just a water hag. This is a pretty fun spot for the gauntlet because there is pretty high HP here, just under 20,000 because of all the Dr. Lugay forms, and that can result in the gauntlet being quite a bit of a slog. Water hag is going to be 3 hits and you're out of here. Which, I mean, I like. I am always going to be a proponent of the not using the no free bosses flag set in competitive play. I like rewarding that kind of game knowledge, knowing all your options to deal with bosses instead of being forced into a situation where it is simply, you're doing the damage, you have to do all the damage, no getting cheeky, no fun little statuses, do more damage. So yeah, I like having the variety.
Absolutely, it's one of my personal favorite games in the series, Final Fantasy V, is a game that really heavily rewarded that. So the fact that sort of gameplay is present in Free Enterprise is definitely a positive in my end. Just being able to know that you have all of these different, if maybe a little bit esoteric at times, strategies to deal with bosses, really just kind of is a good way to raise the skill ceiling and reward player knowledge.
Yeah. And JJBlu here, curious, is trying to hit his own team and having a rough time of it. I'm guessing this is an attempt at finish a boss with a character at 1 HP, but I was pretty sure that you could do this with just, is it only... It doesn't say finish a boss with 1 character. Oh, no! Oh, this is wiping to 5 different bosses.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say,
right.
Well, yeah, he could just have 1 person at 1 HP and then have that Cecil just cover them, but no, he wants to, because he's going to run into 1, 2... 3, 4 bosses. Well, he doesn't have the Baron key, so it's just gonna be the 2 bosses here.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting that done here.
I'm guessing JJ. I wasn't paying full attention. I would assume JJ did the same thing in the Fame Arch fights, because we did see him run down there to get that Legend Sword. He probably took a quick wipe to each of those, and is now taking a quick wipe to each of these fights, because he went through the Officer Soldiers fight, wiped to Evil Wall. Now is clearly intending to wipe to Officer Soldier, so JJ's using these nice, compactly located boss fights to take care of that bottom right tile. Well thought out.
Yeah, some good heads up. Yeah, we were talking earlier about sort of theory crafting how we would do wiping to 5 bosses, and yeah, I think JJ's got a really strong idea of how to do this quickly and efficiently, so real good play here.
Other things Team Wild Toad have completed that are a little tricky to keep track of in the commentator booth. Visiting 10 naming ways. There's one in pretty much every town you go to, so when you have access to the overworld and underworld and moon, as we do, boom, 10 naming ways. Buying a 10 stack of all items in an armor shop. Well, if there's at least one armor shop in this flag set that has only one item in it, so you buy the 10 and you're good. And then visiting 4 throne rooms. We've seen Dwarf, we've seen Fabul, I forget which other ones, but I trust that Team Maltoad is being honest and on the up and up. Same ring on all 5 party members. You mentioned Iron Ring earlier. One of my favorite ones is the Cursed Ring. You know, every ring has some class restriction. Cursed Ring is the one that everyone in the game can equip. It's the only one Dark Knight Cecil can equip. So if you want one that can be used by literally everyone, that's the way to go.
How appropriate that the only ring that Dark Knight Cecil can equip is the Cursed Ring.
Yeah.
Just kind of sums up my feelings on Dark Knight Cecil. And here's the Warrior's chest here from Xyrcord. The trapped chest in the Fame Arch. Can sometimes be a little bit nasty, but the levels that he has shouldn't be much of a problem here at all.
Keddril, meanwhile, has dived down in the lunar subterranean and found Knotso. Appears to be trying to get a wipe to this boss as well. LST is another great place to do this because you do have at least 3 bosses all next to each other. You have the vanilla plague spot, vanilla D-lunar spot, and vanilla Ogopogo spot, all kind of side by side. So this is really clever on Keddril's part as well.
Yeah, and if ever there was a boss that was easy to wipe to in the lunar subterranean, it's Knotso. His wave attack is based on his current HP total, which are very, very high on the moon. So yeah, that's going to do a ton of damage to even well-prepared parties.
Yeah, and as far as accruing the gold, it's not that hard either on T-Wild. You get a few of these big, powerful outfits, and no one to wear them. Like, just go loot Watery Pass and sell everything, and you'll probably be pretty close to that million.
Sell a couple of these extra Excaliburs we just got lying around.
Exactly.
Alright, throwing the Silk Web out first, I really like that as an opening play. Knotso is got a very brief period where he is vulnerable to lightning, and if you get it in time before he has a wave queued up, you can stop that wave from coming out. Throwing the Silk Web with 2 layers of slow on Knotso there is going to make it much easier to hit that window before the wave gets queued up. There's the Gathering of Water, so let's see if Keddril is able to stop it here.
Well, Keddril actually jumped the gun just a little bit there. The zap went out before the water gathered, and waiting that long to get another turn, I think we are about to get waved. The thing is that it can be queued up even before you scare him with lightning. So let's see if Knotso had it at the ready or not. Looks good that we got a punch off, so we're probably okay. I'm guessing that battle speed is turned way down, and that's both why Keddril jumped the gun, but also why he was able to recover so nicely.
Yeah, always a good safety strat to adjust that battle speed in fights like this where timing is so crucial. Gives you more time to hit those windows. Gives the enemy has to take more time before they get something queued up like that. So yeah, big heads up play on Keddril's part going into this fight. Was very, very well prepared.
FBL asking in the chat, why did JJBlu intentionally bring out Calbrena? I don't know. You'd have to ask JJBlu that. It is possible that it was not intentional. That is a very fast location, and if you do accidentally, leave a doll alive, that could happen. Maybe thought could just carve them up without casting Bahamut or something. But yeah, sometimes it happens, but didn't slow JJ down, not one bit.
Yeah. Can't even count the times where I overestimated how much damage I was going to be doing to all of the dolls and ended up having to fight a big one as a result. And ooh, there's a double dragon fight for Xyrak, one of the nastiest trap chest encounters in the game.
Yeah, punching there, hitting Sid for over 2,500 damage. I kind of don't mind the red dragon double fight as much as the red dragon blue dragon. At least the red dragons won. They don't have the elemental. Okay, I'm usually fighting these with, and I have a Cecil with a big holy sword. Red dragons don't resist holy. Blue dragons do. Red dragons have a weakness to ice. Blue dragons don't have a weakness to fire. So between having Quake and Bahamut here, I like Xyrak set up for this fight. It may be a little more annoying dealing with the red dragon blue dragon combo in a bit.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. It is one of the scariest encounters, but not the absolute scariest.
But ooh, you see those punches coming out? Your team is crunchy, they taste good with ketchup. But then Kane just dodges back row plus Dragoon gear. Other things which resist dragon, crystal rings will do it. I think the tiara does it. There's quite a few ways that you can reduce the physical damage that they're dishing out at you.
Xyrak's got it. JJBlu, meanwhile, has completed wiping to 5 different bosses. So that is going to get that corner space taken care of. And I think we're going to start seeing more and more of these spaces sort of rapidly coming in as the teams start to manifest into the late game here, and we start to really get access to the ability to take care of a lot of these things.
Oh yeah, there are all these spots, and honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if that finish a boss with a character 1 HP may have already been done, and our racers just didn't realize it. Again, hopefully each team is saving a relatively easy boss for that. Because the tricky thing is that if you life a character up, they get HP back at 5 times their vitality stat. So to get back down to 1 HP, you either need to use those damage tiles underground, or hopefully just plink at your own team with someone doing minimal damage. Xyrcord, meanwhile, approaching these D-Lunars, had an Avenger equipped on Kane right out the gate, already getting those walls up. Virus is going to be incoming. The nice thing is that the Leviathan spot doesn't have too high of magic power, but Virus is still strong. So we're going to see if this Cecil with a crystal sword, and also Xyrk now, can carve these things up before too much pain comes out from them. Oh, aiming those reflected viruses so nicely, both landing on Kane. Does get down to 1D Lunar though, so the viruses will stop now, but we'll have to deal with a whole bunch of flame counters instead.
Right, he should be okay at this point though. A lot of damage coming up from that Cecil hitting that holy weakness there. So I imagine this is largely under control. Just maybe wants to throw... Nope, just going to attack with that Fusoya, no big deal. Oh, no, he is going to use some curing just in case. One more attack from Cecil should do it. Heck, one more attack from Edge might even do it.
Yeah, the nice thing about that Crystal Sword is it's Holy Elemental, which will give you double damage versus D-Lunars. It's also strong against zombie types, which will give you ×4 damage against D-Lunars. So you are doing ×8 damage with every Cecil swing there. You carve through that so quickly.
And that's going to give Team Second Place their view of the Legend Sword, so now they have half of Go mode as well. Well, we say half of Go mode, but there still are all of these bingo squares we have to fill up as well.
Xyrak got a lovely little drop there. Got an Hourglass 2, which is very handy. If you're clearing all these trap chests, admittedly our team is strong enough to deal with most of them, but there are definitely a few on the moon where I love to have that Hourglass, freeze the foes, take my time. If I want to life glitch for bonus XP, very handy indeed.
FBL actually has a good question in chat. Does a square count if you reset out of the action that earned the square? I don't believe that it does. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, Inven. But yeah, I believe you have to actually continue on with that, essentially that instance of the save file in order for it to count. Is that correct?
I believe so, but I think there are some situations here where the tile just doesn't permit it. For instance, if you wipe to a boss and your game resets, like that, you can't reset the counter back to 0 like that, you know, so...
Correct, yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, but a stack of cursed rings there for Xyrcord, finding those in Dwarf Castle. So I think we're about to get the ring achievement here.
Hey, excellent. But yeah, these 4 racers are all familiar with the rules used for Homge's variation of Bingo Sync. They will all be adhering to them. If you see a tile light up, I trust our runners. They are very familiar with this. They're not gaming the system against each other.
So not only is that cursed ring going to be useful for hitting that tile, but that is also going to be useful for the inevitable Xyromus fight, because it reduces the character stats, including their agility stat, which gets into some black magic that goes way over my head most of the times. I just sort of take the general conclusions that people way smarter than me have come with. But it essentially allows you to manipulate how fast enemies are, since the game sort of relativizes their agility based on the agility of your party, so the battles are roughly running at the same speed. So if you know what you're doing with a cursed ring, you can essentially squeeze out some extra turns against really tough fights like Xyromus.
Yes, witchcraft. That powerful magic that we know as division. So more moon bosses here. Keddril working on Plague. I got a Starvel set up on Rydia very early, so Plague's going to keep trying to land it on her, but she doesn't care. It bounces right off. Rest of the team gets their counter reset each time. Very handy. Xyrak dealing with Leviathan up here. Unsure which spot. Leviathan does have a lightning weakness, but depending on the location, the magic attack here can be pretty nasty. Those Ice 2s, nothing to scoff at high magic attack locations. If it's doing 219 to Yang, though, you're probably okay.
Yeah, a general rule of thumb for sort of keeping these spots, sort of keeping them straight as far as what they're going to do to you. Generally, they have a jacked up stat in the category they don't use normally. So if you're fighting something that is usually a physical-based boss, you can expect it to have higher magic attack than you'd expect, and vice versa. Obviously, there are exceptions to this, but that's a good rule of thumb here. Since Wyvern here is known for Mega Nuke, it actually has lower magic attack than you would expect. So that's why that Ice 2 not hitting very hard there.
And I did look away for a brief moment. What did Xyrak get from that Leviathan fight?
That was a defense sword.
Oh, okay. I consider that to be Kane's ultimate weapon in 95% of situations, just because its accuracy is so much better than his 2 top-tier spears, and the vitality boost gives really nice defense. Who would have thought the defense sword would give good defense, am I right?
95% of situations, which I believe is also the accuracy of the defense sword, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken.
You know, you're probably right there.
But yeah, the way accuracy works in this game might be a little misleading if you're not sort of familiar with like old school Dungeons and Dragons and attacks per round, but when you make an attack, your character is actually attacking several times. So even though it doesn't look like you're missing, you might actually be missing some of those individual hits because it's just giving you a full loadout of damage at the end. So if you equip an item that has similar attack power but higher accuracy, you'll actually see your damage go up because your character is actually nailing more of the hits that it's missing with the other weapon. So accuracy, very, very important in this game.
Keddril's Trigger is over here completely mistiming its counters. Keddril very nicely weakened it first, hit it with Lightning 1. It had a Peep queued up already. Did not even get one big multi-target lightning spell out, so team second place showing how easy it is to deal with a Trigger. As long as you go in nice and calm, don't be tricked, don't be deceived, it's a ruse. And yeah, it takes it out very nicely. On the left side of both groups here, Team Wildtoad's JJBlu we kind of so divergent. Like Xyrak and Keddril both working through the moon. JJBlu has decided to chase that Earth Crystal found in Lower Babel. Going to see who these 2 characters are up here soon. And Xyrcord has gone to a very awkward location, the Sylph Cave. There are 7 trap chests in here. Plenty of them are very annoying. You have all these trap tiles you're running over in the meantime that are dishing out the damage. So an awkward spot to come unless you have certain party setups that, yeah, make it kind of trivial, but otherwise it's just, I can't believe you're making me do this, teammate. Why would you do this?
Yeah, there are definitely a few things you want to have on hand when going into the Sylph Cave. One of them is the float spell. Access to the float spell means you're not going to take any damage from those damage tiles as long as you cast it on every room, which is going to make keeping your party healed up for the duration of the Sylph Cave a lot easier. The other thing you're going to want to have is either a multi-target spellcaster with enough speed to outspeed the ghost that you're going to find, which is generally very hard unless you have access to adamant armors, which, of course, our runners don't. Or an item that usually goes by the wayside is not a terribly useful item, and that's the Mute Bell, which casts silence on the entire enemy party. The reason you want to do that is the ghosts will all cast Fire 2 as their opening action, which has a lengthy animation, and it's going to get repeated 6 times. So if you can throw that Mute Bell out and silence them, it's going to get you a lot more time back because you don't have to sit through those animations. Makes it a lot less painful to go through, a lot smoother. If you don't have a very, very speedy spellcaster, definitely have some Mute Bells on hand before you go into Sylph Cave.
Well, good news. Behind that Earth Crystal is our required Edward. We do have to let him land the killing blow on a boss. JJBlu has that spoon lit up on his tracker. Are we going to just one and done this? Are we going to kill the very first boss we find with a level 5 Edward with a spoon?
I want to see it. We might not see it, though.
This spot has about 5,000, 6,000 HP. But if you're casting Bahamut on it, Eddie is not getting the killing blow. Eddie, just wait your turn. We'll get you in there, buddy.
Even with the 255 attack power weapon, a level 5 Edward is still a level 5 Edward, so only going to do a couple hundred damage with that spoon right now until he gets some levels on him, so probably not the situation you want to go fishing for a kill on him.
Hey, and using your own Dragonite to kill the opponent Dragonite makes sense. JJBlu blows the Bahamut away with his own.
I mean, if I've been taught anything, it's that dragons are powerful against dragons, right?
It's true. It's true.
Is this the right bingo, Rando? I'm sorry. Never mind.
And we're going to see what the item up here, too, is. So Eddie is nice. That guarantees that we can take care of that particular square. And maybe your teammate doesn't even have to go to Zot, depending on what this item is. Yeah, just a water shirt. So if you want to now, Blue can tell Xyrak, that Earth Crystal I found, don't worry about it. I got the Edward kill covered. You just enjoy your lunar jaunt. I got this handled for you, team. I got it.
Yeah, and that's one of the just really intriguing ways 2v2 kind of changes the dynamic of Free Enterprise, is just sort of that cooperative routing there, and where you can just sort of divide and conquer the world. You might notice that we have key items. Normally, you have your normal locations where you can have key items. Free Enterprise allows you to toggle on additional places they can be in trap chests, summon locations, lunar bosses. All of those are turned on for 2v2 matches like this, with the idea being there's so much more space that you need to check, and it really encourages communication between team members, and so they can sort of set their routing up so they're not crossing over each other unless absolutely necessary. So really cool way to see sort of how teammates diverge their routing because of that.
Xyrak and keddril still both covering the moon, getting massive XP in the meantime. So let's see here. Still no sign of Tella. I mean, he is in the seed somewhere. That is one thing that with 12 characters and 13 potential character spots, everyone's somewhere. One character will be duplicated. I'm sure our racers are just hoping that he's not at the end of Giant, since that's not required at all.
Well, unless Dark Knight Cecil is up there on the Giant, then it's required, but...
Touche. But yeah, still quite a few things left to hunt. Let's quickly review our board and see what we're kind of waiting on here. Gotta have Tella to be able to cast Meteo. Ride the hovercraft underground. We got to find a hook. Key item. It's in the key item pool. They'll get it eventually. 5 party members Berserk can happen already. Anytime either player wants it to happen, they can make it happen. Just have to find the fight where they're cozy doing the setup. Cave Magnus, gotta find a twin harp. Music is required today.
Yeah, that is the one I am waiting for. For those that might not know, tell them why the harp is exciting again.
Oh yeah. The song is randomized. You are not just getting Edward's theme or the theme of love or whatever it is from the vanilla game. You're getting something from another classic video game that you may enjoy. There are so many Twin Harp songs in the pool. New ones are being added by our DJ Calamity. Maybe not have a new one tonight, but I'm sure it'll be something spicy and enjoyable for all of us. See, pink puffs are on the table. We have sirens. We know what room they're in. Hopefully, our runners know what room they're in. 4,000 HP plus. I think everyone pretty much has taken. Let's see. We have a Sid and a Yang in that team. We have Cecil in that one. We have Sid in that one. Yeah. We're going to end up getting the 4,000 HP, easy peasy. Level 70 character just requires a little bit of grinding. Sealed Cave, no Luca key yet. A lot of our key item gated locations are still hanging.
That's been a little surprising. Now, we do have, like we mentioned, the key items in so many different kinds of locations, but yeah, it's been a little bit sparse. I've kind of surprised that the lunar hunting hasn't paid off with more key items than it has already.
Yeah. And then everything at the bottom there, 6 crystal rooms, level 70 character, 0 gold. All this stuff is just awkward mechanical stuff that our racers will cover when they've cleared everything else. They're not going to try to route that into the meat and bones part of the game. Like, they will worry about buying 1 million gold worth of stuff after they've grinded a character to level 70.
Absolutely,
also,
yeah.
Commentator here, host here, wow, brain. Just wanted to say a shout out to LMJax2 for the rate of 36. Thank you so much for hosting Speak Gaming.
Absolutely. Thanks, Palmy. Thank you, LM Jax, for bringing everyone over. We're currently doing some Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise 2v2 Blackout bingo. And it looks a little more disparate than it is. We have 12 squares covered for Team Wild Toad versus 7 for Team Second Place. But a lot of ground to tread yet. And everyone at the end still has to defeat Zeromus as well, thanks to that incentive. So, quite a bit of territory still left to cover. And a lot of key items, gating key items at that, still hanging.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to who stumbles across some of those really required key items and kind of breaks things wide open at this point. You know, trying to find that Luca key and that Twin Harp really, really important right now. I'm also kind of eyeing that Baron key because that Baron key locks off 3 boss checks. And we still need to find Dark Knight Cecil somewhere. He has not poked his head up anywhere as a boss.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, back when I did a lot of 2v2, both with my initial partner, Dark Paladin, and then with my buddy Zilch in tournament play, my personal theory with the moon distribution is to not worry about the trap chests and instead prioritize all the actual lunar altars. Maybe it's just confirmation bias, maybe not. But that was always the way I played. I would say, no, let's clear the altars first, chase whatever's there. If it is, again, maybe confirmation bias, one of those 1 in every 20 seeds where there is something in a trap chest, fine. If it happens, it happens. Let's play the odds. Both teams here, though, kind of doing a good distribution, both of trap chests and altars as they're walking spot to spot.
Yeah, and I think you've got a really strong strategy. Even if it's not a distribution thing, it's kind of weird to say, but a lot of the bosses that show up in these lunar boss spots can be easier than some of the trap chests. Some of the trap chests have tons of HP, really hard-hitting attacks, and sometimes it's easier to take out a boss spot than some of these random trap chest encounters.
Oh yeah, especially if it's a script that you have the gear to counteract, versus things like those double dragon fights. I mean, we saw Xyrak get through both of them pretty cleanly. That Bahamut summon helps immensely. But on a seed where you have to go moon first to get underground, which luckily racers didn't have to tonight, all of a sudden doing those fights at low levels can be really awkward.
And I just mentioned the Baron key, and then all of a sudden the Baron key shows up for JJBlu and Xyrcord at practically the same time. And they're going to be going into the Baron fights essentially right on each other's heels. This is pretty exciting here.
Yeah, the funny thing is that item wasn't even gated by a fight. It was available as soon as our racers got underground. That's the item for talking to Yang in his bed in the Sylph Cave, and then talking to Sheila, where she normally gives you the pan in vanilla, gave the Baron key this time. So both our teams have been checking all these trap chests, covering so much ground. and it was a freebie available as soon as they got underground, roughly like an hour ago, I think. Check your freebies.
Do we have time for donations?
Oh, by all means, let them roll.
Alright, we got a $5 donation by JJBlu Duck saying, obviously, I'm going to put money towards best character.
In which Digital Duck also supplements that with a $10 donation saying, "But that's jazz."
Thank you very much.
That was all, just how to make that insert.
Y'all are golden. Oh, and you know that lunar sparkle we saw at the very start of the seed giving us our opening item? Hi, it's Wyvern.
Yeah, normally scary. Right here, not so much. JJBlu going to take the safe route here and throw up a Star Veil to reflect the Mega Nuke. We saw Xyrcord just power on through before the Mega Nuke even came out. But both getting through it with relatively little problem. Yang sitting on the throne there. Ordinarily, you can beat Yang through a storyline trigger if you attack him. After the second round of his AI script with Paladin Cecil, it'll end the fight immediately, but with the amount of damage the team is putting out right now, and this being a relatively low-level spot, just going through it with the violence option is a lot quicker.
Oh, yeah. And we see our duplicate character is a Kane, so no Tella here yet. And that is a Pink Puff sighting over on keddril's screen. This takes care of all 5 party members Berserk, if keddril realizes that or not. And, yeah. Oh, and Xyrak, high-fiving in the Flan Princess fight, whatever you want to call them. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's see both these objectives get marked off here. There's Let's Dance.
This is great. This is not something you see under ordinary circumstances in Free Enterprise, because playing the randomizer normally, there's no reason to come to this room, no reason to engage in this fight. But if you were a child who likes to grind for extra items, then you were definitely very familiar with this fight.
Yeah, Pink Puff's, huge David Bowie fans. That's why the only song they know is Let's Dance. But they're bad at playing music, so it sounds suspiciously like the Chocobo theme.
Ooh, JJBlu, I think, went for the Odin spot before going to the throne. Finds the Nope Noodle there, Ogopogo himself. One of the nastier fights in the game, and that's not exactly a free spot to find him either.
Yeah, that's real dangerous. Ogopogo will counter summons and magic and all kinds of things. The Cure 4 going out's great. It's actually probably good for JJ that Cecil dropped there. It means this Cure 4 is getting a little more oomph on the team. Xyrak having to reset out of the Flan Princess fight. Not quite having enough strength to get through there. keddril's still working on it. Getting really great damage out of this Sid in the middle of the party.
Yeah, do not underestimate the strength of those pudding puffs. Some good play by there by JJBlu, conserving MP on Fusoya by just downranking to Cure 3 here with only 3 characters up. It's really all he needs to get them back in top shape. Oh, trying to get the Cecil up. Immediately takes an attack. That board face AI that we always complain about in full force here.
Oh, yeah. And Xyrak not going back for that fight yet, deciding, let me grind a few more levels. The Pink Puff's taking very few prisoners.
I would rather fight this legendary behemoth than a couple piles of pudding.
I mean, if these Pink Puffs keep hitting keddril Sid, he's gonna have to get boom.
Whoa!
That's gonna be a reset. The Berserk does not wear off, and I mean, look, if Riddy and Fu pull this off, I will be shocked and amazed. I'm not saying it's a reset yet. I'm just saying it's probable.
I believe.
I mean, depends on how much it got knocked down beforehand. Oh, you know when they get down to 1, you know what else they do? I forgot about that.
I believe a little less now.
When they get down to the last one, they do that.
Oh dear. Oh, Rydia, no. No, you are not Palom and Porum.
I love it. I'm a monster. I was so happy to get that included on the board today. Oh my gosh.
Alright, guys. My voice is already dying, and that is the perfect sign for me to end my hosting shift. Taking over now are Frosty and Charlie C. So, thanks for having me, guys. I hope you have fun during my hosting, and be nice.
Hey, thank you so much, Floha. Floha doing a great job today on the hosting shift. We'll get some other folks joining us for the duration of this run and subsequent ones. Reading those donations out. If you got any, make sure you get them in. And we will be glad to step aside and let our hosts handle the most important part of why we're here today, doing that fundraising.
And Xyrcord manages to get through that Ogopogo on the Odin throne, getting a white spear for his troubles. I don't know if he has a cane still in his party, but definitely a good find. Probably, if the defense sword is still in there, probably would prefer the defense sword over the white spear, but white spear is still a pretty good item.
Oh yeah.
Especially good for throwing.
Yeah, accuracy with that, always perfect. I'm interested to see keddril here taking another swing at this pink buff fight. Swap the Sid and the Yang. Managing to get Bahamut off before the Xyrk comes out. A little bit of agility anchoring goes a long way. That will severely weaken all these buffs.
Yeah, that's pretty big. And now this is interesting. We've got Xyrcord going into Luca Cave. Does he have the key? Oh, he does have the key.
Oh yeah, Luca Key, let me double check. That was the reward for clearing Baron Castle. So, the chain keeps coming. And with that, keddril has defeated a group of pink puffs. Big money, big money, so much money. And learns Nuke on Iridia, so ample rewards for keddril. But did not actually have Iridia Xyrked that fight. I wonder if... Oh, I bet the Let's Dance attack missed. You should still get your evade chance on that. And I bet that she dodged it and with her magic evade and was able to get that going.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Rydia having really decent magic defense, you'd be surprised that she can dodge some magic attacks that would ordinary. I've had her dodge Mega Nukes from Wyvern before. Really nice when that happens, and you're expecting a much worse result than what ends up happening for you.
Oh yeah, it is, and yeah. Xyrak's stream does appear to be... His stream does appear to be up, but not on the restream. Hopefully our restreamer can take a look at that and get it rolling again from wherever it's frozen. Thank you for the heads up on that, Dr. Cossack. We were so excited about the pink buffs that we may have missed it ourselves. Hopefully we'll get that corrected. So the downside of that, though, for keddril is that it didn't count for having all 5 party members Xyrked.
Luca Cave required, not just because it's on the bingo board, but that's the second part of the crystal, the adamant ore in there, so that is the crystal in Xyrcord's hands now.
Billy Mays here for Sealed Cave, but wait, there's more!
Wow!
We have a Dark Knight!
That is incredible. So much value in the Luca Cave here tonight, and you can see the attack power from the Dark Knight not nearly threatening here, this team, so that's huge.
Yeah, so we're getting a 3-for-1 here. We are getting a required item to fight Zeromus. We are getting to walk the entire cave, and we're fighting the Dark Knight with damage. So this is 2 tiles you see on the board, plus one of our 26, 27 bonus tiles. And, but the best part is that this means that all 4 of our players are going to have to take this loop through the Yongchuk to Baron to Sealed Cave.
Yeah, that is definitely a rabbit hole to go down, but a rabbit hole with a reward at the end. Even if it doesn't mean you have to walk all the way out of Sealed Cave to complete that objective, no using warp. Still, it's a nice victory lap to take.
Oh, absolutely. So we're running low on required items now. We do still need to find a hook so we can ride the hovercraft underground. We do still need to find a twin harp so we can do Cave Magnus. And that's about it. That's everything we need. Oh, we gotta find Tella.
Yes, we do need to find our other old man. Just thinking aloud here, I believe the spots we have left are, of course, the giant, the package, and am I missing one?
Well, the hook one will get one as well. Or is that the first
Right,
one?
the hook. That's correct, yeah.
The Miria, to answer the question, each team, at least one player must complete a tile. There are exceptions. They're bonus tiles, incentive tiles, 26 and 27, which are Get a Dance and Cafe Howdy, and Defeat Zeromus. Those must be done by both members on a team to win, and both those incentives are met, so there we go. But all this other stuff is just one or the other, but some of these spots you're going to just kind of duplicate anyway. It will be nice for the other halves of each team. You can warp out since your teammate will have already walked. You can just take the 3 hits from Dark Knight Cecil since your teammate will have already beaten him up. But yeah, one other thing I like here, for the metagamer in me. So, Team Wowtoad just saw Team Second Place Mark defeat Dark Knight with damage. And now Team Second Place is about to see Team Wowtoad mark off the same square. So, JJBlu and Xyrcord know they are going step for step right now.
Yeah, they've been following the same trail essentially for the last little bit, and now, yeah, they're getting to find out that okay, there is definitely value at the end of this has got to be a relief.
Yep. And seeing that finish the ball, walk to the crystal room and walk out. Well, the other cute thing is that although they were going step for step, if not, you see the Dark Knight with damage, and then you see the crystal room tiles get marked off back to back, and it tells you, oh, my opponent's found both those through the Luca key. Which
Right.
is also very, very fun. Like, to me, like, I enjoy that. Yeah. It would be one thing if it weren't the same player, because on the bingo sync, in the bingo sync room, you see specifically which opponent is marking it off. It'd be real confusing if, like, they saw JJBlu do one and Xyrak the other, but because you see the same player do both, you know it's at the same place.
Yeah, it's very interesting in a bingo environment because usually in sort of traditional free enterprise races, the only information you get to go off to metagame is when runners finish. So usually by the time you're going to use that metagame information, it's too late. Here, you might have a little bit more of an edge if you're paying attention to that card and sort of kind of guessing where your opponents are based on what they're marking off or what they're doing or what their general routing strategy seems to be.
I will note, by the way, that Xyrak here has found something on the moon that keddril has not. That required hook. Double-checking my notes, that was in an interior passage on the 4th sub-basement in the trap chest with the D-Fossil and the Warlock. So it looks like while Xyrak was going to try to gain some levels, managed to find another required item. That keddril's back up here at the top. I wonder if he may have missed one of the trap chests.
It's very easy to miss one of those chests. There's so many on the moon, so many trapped chests in addition to just regular chests. It's very, very easy to miscount. I know I have before. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there's one that he overlooked at some point, and that'll be really, really unfortunate if that decides to go elsewhere. It could just be that he's routing it differently, just hasn't gotten to that chest yet. But yeah, I'm hoping that's the case because yeah, that not having that hook means not being able to complete that square about bringing the hovercraft to Evelyn Cave, and not there's also a potential character check there. If that's Tella, then that's really, really bad not having the hook.
Yeah. And Xyrak manages to evade the Xyrkitude, gets a Quake off before they say let's dance, and Rydia finishes off her Bahamut summon afterwards, clears the pink puffs, bada bing, bada boom. Gonna have to find another place to get all 5 party members Xyrk, though, curiously enough.
Yeah, with access to being able to manually cast a Berserk spell, it won't be that big of a deal. But yeah, it would have been nice to be able to just kind of 2-for-1 it there. But, getting through the fight, getting it over with is definitely good.
Well, you say that, Smaby. But we're running into another situation, too, where our team's getting a little strong here. It can be a little difficult to get everyone Xyrked up if after Xyrking one character, they kill everything before you can get the rest of the Xyrks up.
That's a very good point. I'm trying to think if there might be some way, maybe you get cheeky about casting Blink on an enemy and using that time to get some Zerks up.
Not the worst idea.
And I'm not sure if we've seen Bacchus wines for sale anywhere. That would be a really easy way to get that all done in one turn if you had enough enemies you were fighting against. Maybe finding an encounter with 6 enemies so that you're guaranteed you're not one-shotting everything in one turn.
And it looks like Xyrak, either by his notes, has cleared every spot on the moon, or has just decided he's had enough. And keddril was on the moon first, but Xyrak's leaving it sooner. Whether because of party comp or some other aspect, looks to be done, or at least content, and on his way to check the one trap chest here in the Giant. I wonder if he'll stick around to try to find the character as well. Does have to find a Tella somewhere. And, those 2 bosses here are a great way to get on your road to level 70.
Yeah, they are tons of XP available from what is normally the fight with the 4 elemental fiends. Beyond that CPU, not as much experience, but still a nice chunk, especially if you're able to take advantage of that with 10 key items, which Xyrak is not in that situation here, unfortunately. But it'd be interesting to see if he does decide, if he runs into 2 easy bosses here, could just decide to take advantage of that.
And Xyrcord has received the crystal, will be required for that Zeromus fight. Still have a few more things on this bingo board to clear, but very excellent to go ahead and have that out of the way. JJBlu also has the requirements to forge it, but just hasn't gone there yet. Don't forget it before you go to Zeromus.
Do not.
I've only done that. I've only done that twice in the last month. Only twice. And I'm supposed to be good at this game.
Yeah, you've played this once or twice. But yeah, it's always that panic when you go into the item and you're like, where's the crystal? Where's the crystal? Where's the crystal? Oh, no.
Oh, and hey, a package in the Giant. There's one of our character checks. Xyrak not looking to stick around and clear it while he's here. Gonna go peek that sooner rather than later. Probably make that hook check at the same time.
Yeah, I don't blame him at all, especially since there are no more boss checks left on the board. Just going here, you choose the package. This is a very quick character check. We get out, check it, decide to follow it up or not based on if it's Tella or not. And then we've also got this hook, which is also something we can net marked off, and another character check. So 2 out of 3 odds here that he has access to Tella right now. If he makes these checks and no Tella, then he knows he's got to go through the Giant.
So, I wonder... Well, there's the rat tail to turn in as well. Let's see, Xyrak prioritizing that package check. Bonk. Keddril has found
It's a very thin valley you've got to land in there.
Yeah. Keddril has found the fight that will yield the hook for his team too.
Oh, there's Tella.
So that means we get to sit through this cutscene. White mages burning down the town. We have to get Tella. We have to slap that Soma drop on him, get his MP back up, and then finally we can cast Meteor with him.
So yeah, a little bit of maintenance. Did he reset out?
Yeah?
Maybe deciding to put that off for a little bit.
I can see that. Because one of the other good things Tella does is he does make a fantastic anchor for that Zeromus fight. Xyrak does have the Cursed Ring, which is good. But that's one of those things where you can wait and get him at the very end. Knock that out right before you go to the Zeromus fight. So
that's actually a really, really good point. Because all you need to do is just elementary. You don't really need to do anything with Tella. Now that you can just go through the motions and get that cleared. Why waste a perfectly good agility anchor? So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. This is actually a really heads up play by Xyrak.
Yeah, and plus we do still have to find, what do we need now? We just need a twin harp and everything's completable. We are in no mode in the booth. Keddril, by the way, returned from the moon, but did not go to the Giant, leaving that last arm hanging. Rattail's twin harp. Team Wild Toad has all the knowledge they need to wrap this thing up.
So that's what they make the harp strings out of. That must sound awful.
Didn't they used to make what was it called? Catgut was the
Cat
fabric.
gut, yeah.
Yeah. Catgut meet rat gut. Who knew that classical music was so brutal?
I'll have to ask something or other sometime if Rat Tails would make for a decent harp string replacement.
Curious about this. Xyrak taking this route. Now, no one has marked off visit 6 crystal rooms. Let me actually pull up the bingo fact right quick for this game to see exactly what constitutes crystal rooms. It may be that a player... No, just... Okay. I take it back. I thought
Yes,
maybe...
I'm just manually counting here. I know everyone's been to the Dwarf Castle Crystal Room. They've all been to the Sealed Cave Crystal Room. There's one in Fabul that I don't think anybody walked into.
No, some folks did. I definitely
they did.
saw.
Okay, my mistake. And then there's one down the hook route, which obviously nobody's been through yet.
Yeah. Okay, Xyrak realized... Okay, here we go.
Yeah, okay,
Xyrak's clearing those up now. There we go.
Perfect.
The Dark Elf one counts, so the Twin Harp kind of counts for that as well. So yeah, Xyrak probably realized, wait, I don't have to take the full hook route. Here we go.
Yeah, good call on Xyrak's part there.
And I do see that little musical note next to Xyrak's name. Very glad our restreamers got it flipped over to him. But I am concerned for Team Second Place. Full clearing the moon, but did not make the go at the last arm chest. That can end up... That's dangerous. I really hope they didn't overlook it.
Yeah, it's a very easy check to overlook. It's a very easy check to sort of put off, to, really make a low priority, just because, there's not, unless you're specifically hunting something or you want to go there to do a specific grind, there's not a ton of incentive to go to the giant. So yeah, it can certainly be a check that falls by the wayside in these 2v2 environments. And as we know, it's an integral part of this seed here today. So the sooner they get that, the better they're going to be on track here. And there we go. Xyrcord is indeed doing the last arm play right now, so they're going to have access to that tower.
Good. Made that swap, doing it that way. Excellent. And Keddril has spent 1 million gold on a stack of 50 Soma drops. Do you want your Fu to have 700? Well, 690 MP. We got to give 10 of those to Tella, right?
Right, and we've got Kane in this party. Should absolutely spare some Soma drops on Kane so he can finally have some MP.
Yeah, they gave him a casting animation, but nothing to cast it with. So now I'm wondering though, which of the players on each team is going to do the 0 gold challenge? You spent the million. Yeah, getting to that nice even round 0 might be a little bit tricky. I can't think of anything in the game that sells for one, that you could purchase for 1 gold. And Xyrak is died to the first incarnation of the Dark Elf. We're gonna get music in a second. Swampy and I are gonna be quiet, let y'all enjoy those dulcet tunes of DJ Spoony B. We'll be back with you after the music's played for a couple of measures at least. See y'all soon, chat. That is the always lovely Corridors of Time from Chrono Trigger. Just a fantastic twin harp rendition of it. Some songs you're like, oh yeah, I can kind of see it, but that one translates so well, so beautifully done. one of my favorites. Glad we got to hear it today.
Oh goodness, yeah, just one of my absolute favorite tracks of all time. Didn't even realize I was saying that, but yeah, just real pleasure there. And I did want to actually point out, someone in chat pointed out that you can actually lose money from running in this game, which is a mechanic that doesn't actually come up too much in Free Enterprise since encounters are off by default. But that is also a good way to get to 0 gold, is to just get yourself down to a real low number, run from a few encounters, and you should be at 0 gold.
Yeah, just buy big stacks of whatever you can to get down to, double digits or so, and find a few strong fights and run away. JJBlu here, attempting to, buying 45 Asuras. That's 135 faces, or your money back.
Oh gosh, how many arms is that?
Just double it, so that'd be 270,000.
Oh yeah. For some reason, I thought Asura had 4 arms. I'm mixing up my.
Oh, actually, yeah. I mean, is it 2 per face, or is it like they're shared amongst them? Is it they're shared amongst them? I think it may only be 3 arms as well.
I think they might. Well, we can find out right now because there's a Sora in.
Let's look. Right, I see 2 blue, 2. Okay, it's 6 arms. It's 6 arms.
Okay, all right.
2 per face. Okay.
That works out. I was thinking they might have to share one of the arms. Like one gets the arm on weekends.
Ha! JJBlu here, endeavoring to run away to lose that money. But I don't know the exact algorithm. But I think the stronger you are versus the enemies, the less likely you are to lose gold when running away. JJBlu might need to go up to the moon to find some monsters that can scare him into dropping his filthy lucre.
And keddril here, we don't have the audio for it, unfortunately, but going through the music as well, going to fulfill that requirement for Team Second Place. So yeah, this is still very, very close as we get to the end here. A little bit of an edge for Team Wild Toad, but nothing that Team Second Place can't overcome here.
Yep. JJBlu finding the one-hit wonder of the Free Enterprise rap world, Rock Baby. I've not seen that encounter in 20 years. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it.
It's okay. I'll allow it. And more pyromaniacal white mages here for JJBlu. And it looks like JJBlu is going to pick up the Tela here, follow the same path, and to get Tela taken care of.
Yeah, and unable to get that gold to drop. Like I said, may have to go to the moon, may have to find stronger enemies to actually make that drop happen. I'm curious about the actual mechanic on that. I wonder if that's something that the algorithm guide even delves into. Mary asking chat, do they have to beat Z after Blackout? They do. Although the Blackout can be done, either member on a team, both teammates have to beat Zeromus because of the incentives that were met, and both teammates have to get a dance in Cafe Howdy.
And I believe we've seen the Cafe Howdy dance on both teams at this point, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, all 4 of them have gotten their groove on with a funky dwarven friend. Good to know. Bearing heat for Xyrak. Of course, there is this whole awkward pathing that each of the teammates who went moon has to cover. The moon did give us a required hook, which you got to ride that hovercraft underground. Gave us the pink puffs. Gave us the package, kind of, by going to the giant. But now you have to do the Yang 1, check into Sheila 1. You have to go clear Baron Castle. You have to go to Sealed Cave. Like, it's a little bit of a slog on this final path, which is really great.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, in normal circumstances, if it was just sort of an objective on the board that they had to clear, just one person could be done with it and it's over. But no, it's actually gating the other half of the crystal, which you actually need to finish the seed, in this case, since both runners have to beat Zeromus. So, you get that's the kind of thing you get from your partner, and you're like, oh my god, I have to do all of that. So yeah, it's one of those situations where one runner is going to be playing catch up to their partner for a while.
So let's look at what's left. Have telecast media. Both teams have access to that. Each team has at least someone with a package. We'll be able to... I see Xyrcord queuing it up right now with his tele. We have Ride the Hovercraft Underground. Each team has a hook. Keddril just needs to actually fly it down and take it for a spin. Or pardon me, Keddril's done it. Xyrak needs to do that for Team Wildtoad. All 5 party members berserked. Be careful. That was one of those things we discussed where if the monsters are too weak and your party's too strong, you may have a hard time getting everyone zerked up. Unless you're saving it for Z. Walk the Crystal Room and walk out of Sealed Cave. I'm pretty sure JJBlu did that and forgot to mark it off. I don't think he used Warp. If not, he can just make Xyrak do it.
I think Tella just missed with Medio.
That's amazing. Oh, I know why. I can tell you exactly why that happened.
Oh, yeah, was it probably targeting the dolls, and then, yeah, after they transform to Calcabrina, that's a different target.
Right. So, I guess it counts. He cast it. We didn't get an animation, but he cast it. And we did see Team Wildtoad mark off that walk to the Crystal Room. I'm guessing they were discussing it. JJ's like, oh yeah, I walked out. I didn't warp. And they thought up on that. The 0 gold, apparently, JJBlu did manage to drop it like it was hot when he ran away. Xyrak has visited the Crystal Rooms by virtue of the Twin Harp. So, second place still has to cover that. The level 70 character, there is going to be grinding incoming. Miria, the Pink Puff tries to zerk everyone, but it seems that that attack does have a mischance based on your magic evade, because both Xyrak and Keddril had Rydia's casting Bahamut after the Let's Dance had activated.
Now here's Xyrcord going back to the Giant. Do you think he's setting up a D-Machine grind here?
I would think so. I believe when we were chatting with the racers pre-race, Xyrcord was indicating that he's a little less comfortable with Free Enterprise than the other 3 racers here. So this could be a situation where Xyrcord is going to take this grind to get that level 70 character part for the team. Xyrcord does have double XP from having 10 key items, and is going to be raking in so much XP that this may just be his setup to prepare for the Zeromus fight.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's going to put him in a very comfortable position. Zeromus is a very nasty fight and can catch a lot of people that aren't properly prepared. So yeah, having those extra levels under your belt going into it, that buffer of HP to kind of go past what you would normally need to survive his Big Bang attack can really, really be useful. So do you want to kind of explain the grind here that Xyrcord's about to do?
Well, if he doesn't. Okay, I do see encounters going on. Kane is staying dead, curiously enough. Oh, there comes the cabin. Yes! Xyrcord is definitely setting up for a D-Machine grind. So this is a grind used in the vanilla No 64 speedrun. It's the long-form vanilla speedrun of the game, where you will step route in a fight with a Searcher that comes with 2 beamers. After you kill the beamers, every time you bop the Searcher with anything, it summons a D-Machine. D-Machine is a monster that only, in the Searcher, actually everything in the fight, Beamer, Searcher, D-Machine, only uses percentage-based attacks. So as long as you keep your HP up and you keep track of what you're doing, it can never kill you, unless things go awry. These D-Machines also give out an absolutely absurd amount of XP. You combine these aspects with a couple other things. The Weak Spell will reduce it to single-digit HP, and there's a thing called the Life Glitch, or the Vitality 0 glitch. Mentioned earlier, when you're revived via Life Item, Life Spell, Life Potion, not Life 2, mind you, Life 1, Life Potion in this game, you are revived with 5 HP times your Vitality stat. Monsters have 0 Vitality stat. So what happens is, you use a Life Spell or a Life Potion, you revive the monster, it instantly dies again. So if you time this right, you can get double or triple XP for every D-Machine you kill. Combine that with getting double XP from 10 key items in Free Enterprise, and you can accelerate your HP growth, your level growth, all your growth, just immensely. It's a great grind if you have the setup to do it. It's relatively safe if you know what you're doing. And yeah, all the levels, all the time. That's what Xyrcord's going for here. Oh yeah, and you don't want to do it with your Avenger equipped. The one thing that mitigates this is you don't actually hit the D machine until you've cast weak on it. If you hit it before then, it will hit you back. It will hit you back really hard with a counter physical attack. If that hits your weak caster, you'll have a bad time. One thing I am worried about for Xyrcord here is that he does not have either of his weak casters in the middle spot. Weak is a spell with pretty good accuracy, but that's a base level Tella. As long as he's casting it with Fu, should be fine, even out of the middle spot. But Tella will be hurting for not having that 1.25 accuracy multiplier.
Right, and it might not seem like much, but when you're casting weak this many times, one of them is bound to miss at some point if you have a low-level telecasting, and nothing hurts more than having an attack queued up to go off as soon as the weak hits, and the weak misses, and the attack goes off, and you get a counterattack, and you're scrambling to save your whole team, and the D machine is throwing percentage-based attacks at you the whole time, and it can very, very quickly go downhill if you get out of the rhythm of it.
Yeah, but now a Fu with a Sorcerer Robe, which he comes with a Stardust Rod, which everyone found several of, his Wisdom stat's going to be so high, he should not be missing. And, I just realized we were talking about telecasting. Remind me next time I do a theme name to name my Fu Strata, so I can have a Telecaster and a Stratocaster.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
You dug deep for that one, didn't you?
I'm trying to avoid being invited back next year. I'm looking forward to being banned from SR. No, I'm just. What? Rock Baby wasn't bad enough?
I mean, I was willing to look past that, but then you had to press your luck.
No whammies. No whammies. I do like that we have Xyrak and keddril neck and neck racing down the sealed cave, both trying to get the other half of their crystal.
Yep, they're going to run into who we affectionately dub the Pain Man, but not exactly painful in this seed. I believe his Dark Wave was only hitting for about 200-300 in the spot, so not going to be any problem. I'm going to walk right through that fight and move on from there.
Yeah, in the vanilla game, the Evil Wall doesn't hit too hard because its script kind of cheats the ATB system. It does a whole lot of these things that the script describes as start a chain, then everyone else freezes until it's done doing whatever is there, and then it says end chain. So it cuts in line in the ATB, and it's a super fast spot, the fastest spot in the game. So vanilla game, it doesn't actually hit all that hard. It's kind of just a pure damage race. Compare this to other spots Evil Wall can be in the game, where it does get huge attack power. So yeah, these Dark Waves, nothing to worry about. Just going to tank them, not even going to kill it with damage. Teammates took care of that earlier. We're just going to chill.
Yeah, it's actually a very good point that keddril can take advantage of the storyline script here since the objective is already taken care of. It's actually a little bit of a heads-up play because I believe it's probably going to be faster for him to just sit here than having to actually out-damage him, since he'll probably have to sit through fewer Dark Waves. And Xyrcord finishes up a D-Machine grind, doesn't quite have the levels that he needs, so he's going to go probably hunt down another one of those fights, get some more experience on his characters. I believe the highest level character he has there is a 59 Kane.
Yeah, not quite enough. Could, of course, go for the two fight. Well, we have a level 63 Fu. So
you're right, yeah.
Could go for these two bosses.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a check here. But no, going right back into the grind.
So I wonder if our racers are planning to do Quint Xyrk, as it is affectionately called, at Zeromus, with that. No one's completed that have all 5 party members berserked yet, and I did see some interesting team composition changes. Like, we did lose, Xyrcord, for instance, does not have that Rydia with Bahamut anymore. Instead has, 3 heavy hitters in the front line. Get them swinging harsh enough, and, you could just let the old men also join in the melee.
Oh gosh, I hope we do. There is nothing more fun in this game than the Quintzerker. It is the meme. It is the dream. So basically, what Quintzerker means is essentially just berserking all of your characters against Zeromus, which might sound crazy because of the amount of damage Zeromus puts out that you have no way to heal. But if you're doing enough damage, you can actually get away with it. And the reason is, we mentioned earlier about the effects of Berserk, how not only is it increasing the damage you deal, but it's sort of cheating. Your character cheats a little bit in the ATB system because the AI is automatically putting in your attacks. And you can do what is essentially flooding the ATB queue so that Zeromus is going to get far fewer turns in than he might ordinarily get because all of those slots are being occupied by your own character's actions being constantly put in over and over. So as insane as it sounds, it is actually a viable strategy if you have enough damage. You just zerk everybody up and go.
Yeah, and another nice thing too is that Zeromus' script is split into several parts in this game. Notably, there is an HP refill that happens because because of how they programmed it, they couldn't give any one monster more than 65,535 HP. So Zeromus has 61,000, but he refills it if you do any direct damage past the 45,000 mark. But the nice thing is that as long as he doesn't have certain attacks queued up, you can interrupt the script. The script will start over as long as the attack's not already queued, and boom, you have another several turns to dish out this heavy melee damage with your Zerkers before worrying about an actual big bang coming.
And we mentioned earlier about how some of these late game bosses have preset triggers to Rydia's summon spells. Kind of saw one on display down there on keddril screen. The D-Lunars will heal themselves anytime Rydia uses a summon spell on them, but not healing for nearly enough to really be much. I believe it's 10% of their total HP, so only healing about 1,700, while Rydia is dealing out quad 9. So.
Yeah, like I'll know as soon as I see the remedy script go off. What is? Well, no, they're probably just dead. Never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do have 17,500 each here. So if you saw a 1750 heal, that is 10%.
Yeah, I believe that's what they did. So yeah, 10% seems to check out.
Yeah, and we're seeing 3 different grinds going on here. Kind of curious. We have Xyrcord going with the D machine grind we described earlier. I saw JJBlu popping sirens to summon gold dragons for 120,000 a pop, 180 if you can get a life glitch off on one of them. And Xyrak just grinding next, taking the easy way out. Can probably one-shot any one of them at a time. Who's going to be the first team to get a level 70 character?
I do kind of like JJBlu's approach here by grinding gold dragons because he is already there on the moon. As soon as he gets the level that he needs, he can just go right into the Zeromus fight. And if he plans on Quintzerkering it, then he'll get the last 2 objectives here. So he's positionally in the best place to finish because he can just go right to the fight after getting that level 70 mark.
Yeah, they have a pass. Everyone has a pass. You want to explain why the path is of consequence, unlike in the vanilla game?
That's actually true. They do all have passes, so forget all that. But no, the pass normally would let you get into the VIP club in Troya. We have a different function for it in Free Enterprise. It provides an alternate way to get to the Zeromus fight. So if you go turn it in Troya, it instead takes you on a teleporter that goes right to the final fight. So it's an alternate means of getting there that skips the long walk down through the lunar subterranean to the Zeromus fight. So kind of increases your options there. The other nice thing about the pass is since you can save much closer to the fight than you can in the lunar subterranean, it makes riskier strategies against Zeromus, like low-level strats or eddy strats, way more palatable than having to sit through a long walk anytime you fail. Is JJBlu just going for Zeromus here?
Looks like it. Xyrak as well. I'm assuming they are allowed. Again, they know the rules a little more precisely than I do to knock out that final tile and then go grind the level 70 part. But clearly, neither one on that team has marked off have a level 70 character.
Yeah, I'm guessing the strategy here. Yeah, they're just going for it. They're gonna worry about the level 70 character later, apparently.
Yeah.
And we'll see if we see the fabled Quint Xyrcord here from either of them.
I mean, that is a very easy way to clear it up. We do have an Edge with good weapons. We have a very strong Cecil, and we have that Edward with the spoon for JJBlu. Unsure how speedy that Rydia is. He may have only been grinding to get her to an acceptable agility benchmark. It wouldn't surprise me if she's at agility 28. That would definitely explain Edward going first here. Xyrak, meanwhile...
Wait, Venerable, quick, we got a question to ask. Quick, very quick.
No, what? Say it!
Who's about to make a kick?
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Mario viruses, let's go.
I know that with a restream delay, we were a little late on that, but, you know, whatever. We're fine.
We tried our best. There was important agility mechanics to discuss. We had to put tradition at the wayside.
There we go.
But yeah, we do not randomize anything about the Xyromus fight mechanically. It is always the last fight that you'll encounter in the game, but we wanted to still keep things in the spirit of randomizations, so our wonderful, wonderful admin Scala Kitty has created a number of custom sprites to replace Xyromus. So who you actually fight is going to be a random pop culture video game villain of some kind, and I believe there are they're approaching more sprites than there are Pokemon at this point. It's getting ridiculous.
There's over 450 at least at this point. When 4.0 released, they were already at 444, but then since then, through tournaments, through charity events, etc., there have been bonus ones made. And JJBlu's Rydia doing the group life one, just what we wanted to see. Never trust the Asura summon. Just don't do it.
It never works until you need it not to work, and then it works.
Xyrcord, sick of doing D-money grinds, down here popping sirens on the eggy beach, where the yellow dragons hatch before swimming into the magma. Even though they're thunder dragons, for some reason they like swimming in magma. It appears keddril is endeavoring to disavow himself of the last of his money. There goes 48 gold. Was that enough? Yes! So team second place has cleared the 0 gold requirement. We are at 23 and 23. Each team needs 5 Xyrk and a level 70 character. This is so close, because Xyrcord, I believe, is the closest to hitting the level cap. Team Wildtoad may be the first ones to clear Xyromus, but Xyrcord is going to cut through Xyromus so fast with these absolutely insane levels.
Yeah, this is going to be a mad dash to the finish here. I can't wait to see how this unfolds. 2 very different approaches to getting these last few objectives done, so really excited here.
Just saw Xyrcord mark that off. Has a level 70 Fu. I saw level 68 Kane and Cecil. Team Wildtoad has team second place breathing down their necks right now. Team second place for the first time this race is in the lead in number of tiles completed. Just has to do the Xyrk, just has to kill Xyromus.
Yeah, we've got rocks falling on the top screens, so Team Wildtoad about to catch up in objectives just by completing Xyromus here, but then they still got to go by. They still got grind to do. One of them has to get to level 70. This is going to be super close.
I'm really feeling team second place right now. I think team second place is about to have to undergo a name change. Did JJBlu there actually finish the fight?
It was a really quick reset. I thought I saw a flash and then the reset out, so I believe he did finish it.
Gotcha. Now has to grind those levels. But both keddril and Xyrcord are on their way to Xyromus. Can JJBlu grind up to level 70 before team second place kills their Xyromuses? And also, gotta do the Xyrk.
Yeah, I don't think JJBlu had the complete Quint Xyrkur, going on. Xyrak doesn't, but does finish as well, so their Xyromus is finished. Team Wildtoad completely done with their Xyromus objective. All they need to do at this point is get a character level 70 and get all of their characters berserked at once now, but team second place just has to finish Xyromus as long as one of them does a Quint Xyrkur strat.
Whew. Neck and neck. This was, I'm sure, a lot closer than our racers may have expected it to be. I mean, team second place, being a little self-deprecating with the team name and a little doubts going into the race, but this is going to be so incredibly close.
Yeah.
Team Wild Toad's taking care of that Z fight, but we still got to get those levels, and getting to level 70, this is an increasing XP curve. It's not, the same per level. This is going to take some doing.
Yeah, those level, every one of these encounters is going to give proportionally fewer and fewer XP to the next level. It takes more and more. So while the Gold Dragons is a great fight to get up to the levels you need to get to Zeromus, if you're going to go past it very far, you're going to start seeing some empty fights that aren't going to give you levels. So this is going to be really probably a bit more time than Team Wild Toad wants to invest in here, but they've got to do it at this point. They're committed to it.
Xyrak appears to be looking for a fight where he can do all the Zirkin. Summoning 2 gold dragons himself here. This is going to be trickier for them to get all 5 party members Zirk than they think. The best way to do this may be to go to Mysidia and swap your 5 strong teammates out for 5 weak ones.
Yeah, that's a good thing, or maybe even just go right back to that pink buff room and just sit there until you popping sirens until the berserk hits everybody. But then you still got to win the fight. Yeah.
Xyrcord lifing Tella. Are we about to see Quint Zerk on Xyrcord's side?
Oh, let's
that's
go.
a shake though. The Big Bang is going to take the team down. The problem right here is Cecil's a little too fast. I don't think Fu or Tella's getting a turn soon enough.
Yeah, that's a good point, especially if he's got that crystal sword on Cecil. That's going to be boosting his agility massively, which is good for Cecil, but bad for being in that center row, since that is what the game calculates its relative agility around. So if you got a fast character there, you're not going to be doing yourself much favors as far as trying to cut down Zeromus' speed.
Yeah, now Xyrcord did get a refill there and skipped the Big Bang before it got queued up. We'll have time to get all these Zerks going, and it's looking like it. I'm not seeing a Big Bang. And Fu has gotten a turn. Tella's gotten a turn.
I think that's it. I think that's all 5.
5 berserked. Team second place just has to finish these Zeromus fights, and they will take it from Team Wild Toad.
There's the flash! He's done. That's complete.
Level 70 does it. Keddril finishes this fight before Team Wild Toad hits level 70, and Team second place will have taken it. GG's to Xyrcord, bringing home that part for the team.
That was incredible. What a huge amount of damage going out. The time between
wait a minute. Xyrcord has marked it off on the bingo board. Did Tella not get the Zerk off in time? Why did Xyrcord clear that? I'm really wondering now. Maybe Keddril's gonna have to pick up that slack? We'll see. I don't know why he clicked it and then unclicked it. It's possible Tella missed, but if so, I would be resetting and trying to remedy this very quickly. Yeah, I thought they were all Zerk too, K-Foul, but we did see it was Xyrcord who unmarked that tile in the bingo board.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out soon enough here.
And Gambit, just check the tape. Everyone was Zerked, so Xyrcord did have all 5 party members Zerked. Just looking here for a flash on Keddril's screen. I can't see JJBlu or Xyrak hitting level 70 in time. As long as Keddril doesn't wipe here, this is all team second places to take first place.
Yeah, and he's got just amazing HP totals on a lot of his characters that is going to make surviving those big bangs very, very simple. Those big bangs can hit upwards of, at their highest, 2,800 under very ideal circumstances, but that's not enough to take down either Yang or Sid, so it's going to be very, very hard for a complete wipe here. Unless something horrible happens, Keddril might just probably has this.
Yeah, JJBlu checking his levels, only a 64 Fu. Trying to find a place to get better XP in a hurry. having to camp out to get MP back. Xyrak likewise grinding. Xyrcord's D-Machine strats apparently bringing it home for team second place. I think we're about to see a flash on keddril's side, and that should seal the deal. These nukes are doing quad 9s from Rydia. Well, not that one.
She's still Rydia after all.
2000 HP Rydia.
That's true. Yes, it is 2000 HP Rydia. There's falling rocks. That is the sign of the final phase of the Zeromus fight.
Under 12,000 HP to go.
And we have to wait for the last attack. There's the nuke.
Okay. Xyrcord has remarked it, so clearly just not wanting to fill the board out until every objective is done. Get your GGs out in chat, y'all. Team second place, Xyrcord and keddril, have taken this Bingothon 2v2 match, coming from behind against JJBlu and Xyrak. Slightly superior strategy. The D-Machine gave such XP. Grinding to level 70 takes so long. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. I think we'll be getting them in for an interview shortly. Let's but we'll leave that to our restreamer to get them in at the appropriate time.
Yeah, just some wonderful cooperation there by both team members. Just the way they split that up to get the levels they need and then finally complete the fight there at the end. Just beautifully executed, a wonderful comeback, and a very, very well-deserved victory here for team second place.
While we're awaiting our Bingothon Free Enterprise champions, okay, we're going to let Team Wildtoad finish first and get everyone together. Thank you, Trix. Appreciate it. Yeah, each one trying to grind out as expeditiously as possible. Again, you can get so much XP from that one lone D-Money fight that it just paid off so massively for Team second place.
Yeah, and there's just so many advantages that it has. Not only is the XP payout good, but since you can just stay in the fight and continuously rack up kills, you're avoiding, having to look for the fight again. You're avoiding the victory screen coming up and having to interrupt things. It just cuts out so much time and makes it such a quicker grind.
So now I'm guessing the curiosity is whether Xyrak or JJBlu will hit level 70 first for Team Wildtoad.
Yeah, that's the new race here.
Teammate versus teammate, going at it to see who can finish these tiles off. Popping siren after siren. Of course, okay, I guess they realized that someone had completed the 5 party members Xyrked. JJBlu just got it marked off. Must have gotten everyone Xyrked up in that random encounter. Seeing a level 64 Fu still in the lead for his levels. Xyrak's side, well, we'll get an idea in a moment.
And even though Fu starts at a high level, I want to say that he doesn't exactly have the greatest XP curve going forward. So maybe not the greatest character level up, but since you're leveling up everybody in your party at a time, he might just be the one to hit it normally.
Yeah, I can get you some comparisons on that.
Oh,
so,
excellent.
Fu starts at level 50 with a given 1 million some odd XP. We'll call it 1 million. He gets level 70 at about 3.8 million, so he needs about 2.8 million over what you start with. Contrast this with, let's go with, pick a character, Smape, any character.
Let's go with Kane.
Kane, excellent. So Kane, by contrast, starts at base level 10 with 2,000 XP. We're just going to ignore that. And hits level 70 at 3 million, give or take. So when you also add in the fact that you're getting double XP by virtue of the slingshot mechanic being 5 levels behind, you accrue it pretty quickly that way. And we do see that Xyrak has hit level 70 for the team, grinding those gold dragons and life glitching them. GG's to Team Wowtoad coming in second. What a close match, by the way. Just like 3 minutes, 39 seconds between the two. Well played, everyone.
Yeah, with everything that had to go through in this seed and having that close of a race at the end, that's just absolutely incredible.
And we do have Keddril and Xyrcord joining us. Team second place is team first place. Gotta get that name change gone. Visit a numbing way. Do it stat. GG's, y'all.
GG. Dang.
It all came down to Xyrcord, even though you didn't get it all done in one shot. Doing those D-Machine grinds brought it home. Y'all are behind on tiles for a bit, but taking the time to do that to get the level 70 before the Z fight and then tearing through it so quickly brought it home for you. Very well done, Xyrcord. You want to tell us about how y'all decided to divide the labor throughout the seed and how you decided who was going to cover which spots?
So it is very, very well known among the group of four of us how much I hate doing the D-Machine grind. Keddril actually told me, like, I don't know, we were an hour in probably. He said, you should probably just go do the D-Machine grind. It was right when I got Cecil to be a paladin. So that you can slingshot him up. And I'm just like, dude, I hate it. You're going to have to do it. I'm not comfortable. And then, of course, in the end, I had to do multiple D-Machine grinds just to get to level 70. And it was... I hate that fight. I really hate it.
Well, I mean, you may hate it, but you may not get what you want, but you got what you needed, and it worked out just like a charm for y'all. Very well done. I'm gonna ask a question for Team Wowtoad right quick. What were your thoughts going through that? Like, were you paying attention to the bingo board? Were you keeping track on Team Second Place's mark-offs? Was that giving you any idea of where y'all stood at each other, what was being completed, that made you change up what you were doing that seed?
We were definitely watching it. We were definitely aware of their progress. Like, we knew that we were ahead decently on tiles, but the thing with bingo is that tiles can come in pretty quick, especially towards the end of the seed. So definitely we're worried when they checked off the level 70 character and we were doing our Z fights. We're like, it's not good.
What was sort of the rationale you had to decide to jump into the Z fight, get it over then, and then worry about the other objectives afterwards?
We basically knew that the 70 Z fight was all we had left, and the eggs were going a lot slower than I thought they would originally. And I wasn't as high level as I thought I would be because the moon had nothing on it.
That was a horrible moon.
Except for that hook. Nothing. So all that moon experience that I only got at only the original values, not with the key item doubling, I was not as high. I figured I would be in the 60s already coming off the moon, not like 52.
Yeah, that was the same with me as well. That's why Xyrcord had to go do the D-Machine.
How do y'all feel about all the value in Sealed Cave? Moon's Haunted, value in Sealed Cave, right?
Yeah, we got all the stuff we needed, and I just bolted before I even did the last 2 trap chests, so...
I don't even
We
remember.
actually had... I don't know if you noticed from the checking off on the bingo card, but you had both of your runners were in Sealed Cave at practically the same time. Did you notice that when the sort of lights came in there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I was worried that it wouldn't have mattered because everyone had to do it, but I was worried that clicking off Dark Cecil and Seal Cave at the same time would tell them where it was so they wouldn't go hunting for bosses. But then it turned out that we were there at the same point anyway, so it really didn't matter.
And I realized that I didn't click it off until later. I'm like, Invin's going to yell at me.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. I thought maybe you were like, I don't want to walk out of here. I'm gonna warp. My teammate has to come here for the adamant anyway. You do the walking. I could see that being the conversation that y'all had too. Like, not you forgetting, but just being like, no. I had to fight Dark Knight Cecil. You can just tank the hits and you walk out.
No, I did do it, and I just completely forgot to mark it, which is on me on that.
We did have a really great simultaneous pink puff fight as well that went awry for both of you. Like pink puff's being shockingly rude today. It was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, I was down to the last Sid, and then it was just Rydia and Fusoya, and I was like, oh, maybe they'll pummel them to death with their stabs, and I thought they were going to get it because that Edge had gotten I think a defense on that bottom left one, which was all that was left, but they wiped me, which sucked.
I was rooting for those two so much. Invenerable was being the Debbie Downer there. But it turns out his cynicism was founded in reality.
The first time that I went in, I was actually trying to get the all 5 party members berserked really cutely. I wasn't actually trying to kill them, but I guess that's not guaranteed to hit or something because Kane wasn't berserked. And then the second time I went in, they didn't get everybody either. So yeah, that didn't go as planned.
Yeah, that was a kind of a shock to us because we assumed that. Everybody was going to get the pink. Yeah, everyone was going to get the pink puff and the berserk at the same time, but neither of you did.
Yeah, second time they missed my radio, so that was a Bahamut, which was easy breezy pink puff fight right there.
Right.
Yeah. I was sad. I was trying to berserk all 5 of my characters in Z, and it died before I berserked Fu right at the end.
Oof.
So that was the most stressful part of the seed for me because I had Tella in my party, and Tella doesn't survive anything ever. And I ended up getting my last berserk right before Z died. It was just the perfect timing because I had the level 70 party. So my 3, I had Cecil with a crystal sword, Kane with an Avenger, and Edge with double mass immunes, and they're just plowing through Z no problem. And then I was like, well, we got to get these 2 berserks off, or we're gonna beat him. Barely got it in.
Well, hey, GG's to all of you. I hope that the seeds and the board we came up with were fun and not too terribly rude for you. I hope you all had a good time. I had a good time watching. I hope you had a good time playing.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and thank you guys so much for commentating. That was.
Oh, yeah, appreciate everything y'all did.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm just glad that we were able to raise a little bit of money for some charity. I think we got, 65 on the incentives, so I'll take it.
By the way, did everybody enjoy the whole world of Fred?
that was a lot of Fred.
So much Fred.
Not vanilla enough for all this Fred.
Well, I think we're all about done for the Free Enterprise crew and the 2v2 Blackout Bingo. I guess we'll be turning it over to our hosts and whatever's coming up next. Thank you so much for having us. Check out Free Enterprise, ff4fe.com, and come play with us. Maybe you'll take down team second place and be the new team first place next year.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you so much for that amazing bingo. I definitely had a blast watching that. I have not really played a lot of Final Fantasy IV, but I could see like how close it was in the end. Like I was on the edge of my seat during that. That was a great ending.
Yeah, same. I don't really know a lot about any Final Fantasy pre Final Fantasy 13, but it was fantastic. Really on the edge of my seat towards the end. Yeah. So we have a few things to talk about before our next run starts, which is Wii Sports Resort. And basically, we just want to remind you that if you're going to leave a donation, bear in mind that, what with it being, Christmas time and everybody's thinking of what the perfect present is to buy for their relative, you're in with a chance of winning a Bingothon mug if you donate $10, isn't that right?
Yeah, exactly. Hang on, I also prepare something. There we go. Now I am really in the spirit of Christmas music. Okay, so yeah, Christmas time is around. I'm so happy that it came early this year. It's always such an amazing time of the year. But yeah, we got 2 presents to give out. The Christmas came in a little bit last second. I don't know what happened here, but we got 2 presents like the bingo mugs with a $10 donation. If you do that anywhere during the event, it's you'll be eligible to win that as a present, because this season it's all about giving, and we like to give back to all of you, for everyone who's been so generous in giving as well. Like, it's really the spirit of Christmas here. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing my ugliest Christmas jumper right now. It's got like a really freaky looking reindeer on it, like his eyes are just all over the place. But it's very loud and very proud. So I hope you're all wearing your Christmas jumpers at home, chat.
Yes. Do you have any Christmas dinner plans? Like, that's always one of my favorite parts of Christmas, like all the good food that you're allowed to eat.
Yeah, I think it's sort of routine in the United Kingdom that you eat an entire box of chocolates after you've eaten your Christmas dinner, and you just pass out on the couch for like 2 days, 3 days afterwards. So yeah, that's my plan for this Christmas that's just upon us. So...
Yeah, and I mean, these 2-3 days while you're passed out on the couch, there's still so many amazing runs. You can, luckily, Bingothon is on. Like, you can spend your entire Christmas just watching amazing bingos here. It's really such a wonderful time of the year. I also turn off this because maybe stuff gets copyrighted, and it will be my fault, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so, of course, it's nowhere near Christmas. It's like, we're almost as far away from Christmas as we can get. I'm just wondering if we're already ready to start the run or not. Getting a little bit mixed messages in Discord.
It seems like they're still going for a little bit, so...
Okay.
Well, we can talk about some more things, like, I can keep the Christmas spirit up here. Like, one of my favorite gifts as a kid was always Lego, and fortunately, in this marathon, there will also be a Lego Batman run later on, which still has an open donation incentive. Like,
Ooh.
it will be to play the bonus level, Wayne Manor. I'm not a native English speaker. The Manor. So that currently is out of $20 out of $35. We only need $15 more to reach that. So, that's really, really close. And I'm really, really sure that during this next run, we can make this. Like, it's Christmas, everyone. During these times when we're all stuck inside, it's a little bit gloomy, but we're gonna get through this through the power of giving, love, wholesomeness. What other things are related to Christmas? What feelings do we get from that?
Food.
Yes. The power of food. We can reach those $15 extra for that donation incentive. I believe.
And on that very making me hungry note, I think we might be almost ready to start the next run, which is, if I am not incorrect, Wii Sports Resort. And 4 people are taking part in that Blackout bingo, so it's going to be a really fun time. So we will leave them to it. Or we'll interrupt with donations now and then, but it's time for us to head over to the runners.
Yes, so enjoy the run. We'll be eating our Christmas food and lay back and eat our chocolate afterwards. And let's hope we don't pass out immediately.
Indeed.